Hello, everybody. This is Riding the Pine, where sports come first, just like your mom. We workshopped that. That was what we chose. Don't worry about it. And today I have Lou, and it's episode 2, so technically he's a newcomer. And David, although he's been here since the beginning, David is with us. David will be introducing himself right after the rundown. The rundown is, we're going to talk about the Strasburg deal, because he got paid a ridiculous amount of money to throw a ball near people. We're also going to talk about the implications of that deal and maybe Jake Arrieta, because he's the next big, huge pitching prospect. Or I guess he's not a prospect anymore. He's a superstar at this point that's going to get an extra contract. We're going to talk NBA playoffs, obviously Spurs and Thunder that just wrapped up. What's happening with the Spurs? Who's going to retire? Is Greg Popovich going to be nice? Thunders and Warriors, because obviously they're going to play now. Which I'm very much looking forward to. And then the Heat Raptors, who are actually playing right now. They should be in the third quarter at the time of this recording. And maybe it'll be over by the time we get there. And then we could be like, hey, these people won. And then the Madden curse, because Gronk just got chosen for the Madden curse. So he's obviously going to break something again. And then Tom Brady has a cookbook. And apparently his nutritionist, or whatever you call those people, you know, the fancy white rich people, they have people that feed them. That guy, he's weird. And we're going to talk about Tom Brady's eating habits. Hint, no tomatoes. I don't know why. We'll talk about that, though. So, hi, guys. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Pumped for some podcasting.
So, David, the other two guys had to do it last time. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, boy. I like sports. Sports are fun.
That is helpful, since this is a sports podcast.
I like to listen to myself talk, so I'm excited about this podcast. It's going to be a daily listen for me.
That is also helpful, because this is a podcast.
Right. And, let's see. Why am I here? And what's my role? So when I played high school sports, I played high school basketball, and I was injured most of the time. So mostly I just sat on the bench and was an obnoxious walking encyclopedia. And I had facts on the tip of my tongue, and so people called me Stat Boy. So maybe that's my role here. Maybe I am here to be Stat Boy.
I was about to ask, you have sports knowledge, zero athletic ability, and you never played. How are you not on ESPN with your own 4-hour show every day at this point? Like, you are ESPN.
He has
gold
way
right
more
there.
athletic ability than Skip Bayless. Let's make that clear.
Well, that's
right
Fox
now.
Sports 1 now. I mean, he's mailing it in at ESPN.
He was 1.4 points a game. Every
time he tweets on Twitter, the first 18 responses are 1.4.
Right.
That's what I scored 1.4 points my senior year in basketball total. So
how did you score 0.4 points?
Well,
Did they just give you some pity points?
That actually did take a lot of athletic ability. I don't want to go into it right now. So
nice. So David is actually, if we have anything close to an expert, we don't. But no. David would probably be our NBA guy. He's our, I don't know. Oh, you're Broussard. You can be our Broussard, but you're not racially ambiguous.
No, he's our Wojo. He could be our Wojo.
Okay, fine. Okay. Whatever. So, so we're going to start far away from your field of expertise in baseball, and we're going to talk about Steven Strasburg, who was he's the Bryce Harper, but of pitching, and they happen to be on the same team. They're both, touted, back when they were both, 15, 16 years old, they've been, pretty much... You know, LeBron James had all that shit going on when he was in high school, and they're, already anointed him king, and, he's got Nike deals for $99 million out of high school. This is they're the same thing. Only white, and they play baseball. But Strasburg, he got paid ridiculous. Lou, how much did he get paid?
Well, it's something that we want to tear into, because there's a lot of different ways to look at it. On paper, we're looking at a 7-year, $175 million deal. That's the thing that made headlines on Wednesday night when this all came down and everybody made a big deal about. Obviously, he's the first guy.
You texted us. That night, and we're like, holy shit, that's a lot, especially for a guy coming out of Tommy John.
A guy coming 2 years off Tommy John surgery, a guy who was a year ago shut down because he made it to his, not pitch count, but his activity count, his innings cap for the team, which, hey, when they were up 3-1 on the Cardinals, not so bad, we don't need him. Oh, wait, then we just lost 3 in a row. So didn't really pan out very well for him. Obviously, this year, I mean, small sample size, 5 games pitched in, but he's 5 wins in, looking at 58 strikeouts so far on the year, so he's looked like a beast. Really atypical situation. Scott Boras is known as the guy for his superstars that he represents, his guys of Strasburg's level, his guys of once we get there in 2018 for Bryce Harper, who he also represents, to not go and negotiate into a deal. He tells his guys, hey, if you're a fucking superstar, let's hit free agency, man. Let's let people do something stupid for you. Let's let people go out and drop their drawers for you. So it was a very atypical situation for a Scott Boras guy.
Well, I gotta say, you're kind of hinting right now, and I'm gonna let you do it. But it's not exactly as it seems, is it?
Right. Well, I mean, Scott Boras is the best agent in all of baseball. I mean, obviously he's hated here in Houston for how the Carlos Beltran thing went down, but that was a decade ago, and we still can't let it go. But obviously, the best agent in baseball, and so it's a little atypical of a deal. It's really an unheard of and precedent-setting deal. People are saying, how's this going to affect Arrieta next year? Really, we need to be looking at how's this going to impact baseball moving forward. That's why earlier I said on paper it's a 7-year, $175 million deal. Really, it's a 3-year, $75 million deal that Strasburg can opt out of. It really is the best of both worlds, and it is the least team-friendly deal of all time. This guy, I mean, let's say, he goes out, he wins a Cy Young here in the next year or two. He goes out there and he's lights out. He's a 20-game or 18-game winner over the next 3 years, and he says, man, I could go out there and pick up an easy 250, 260 with the way I've been pitching. He can opt out and hit free agency. He also has that. Now, that's happened in baseball before. What's unprecedented is he not only has a player-only, not a team and player option, but a player-only option in his third and his fourth year.
I was gonna say, wow. like that's so much protection, and it's obvious that it was because of the surgery, right? Like, right. It's protection against getting ripped out of the major league free agent market, basically, and getting paid some sort of minimum after he comes back from a second surgery, which will probably happen.
It could totally happen, and that's the thing, because of how it's set up, and it's a player only option. It's not a player and team option, which we've seen in the past. It's a player only option. So if this guy's career tanks, if Strasburg goes out there and he just absolutely falls apart next year, he's got an ERA over 6. He's just letting them jack balls out of the park. He's falling out of the rotation.
Balls.
Okay. Right. He falls down in the rotation, and he's just a complete detriment to them. Hey, guess what? Right. I've still got $175 million coming to me over the course of the next 7 years. You want to send me down for assignment and have me go play in AAA? Fuck it, sure. I'm getting paid $175 to do it. So it's really the least team-friendly deal in history. And Scott Boras, I mean, no, you're right. You corrected me. He's probably the best agent in all of sports with this deal. Absolutely incredible.
So Tommy John surgery. A piece of your arm wears out like it's a cheap plastic car part, and you replace it with a random piece from somewhere else in your body. Any piece will work.
Yes, you replace a brake line with windshield wipers. That's essentially how it
something
works.
Like that. Well, so for people who don't understand that medical jargon, it's like if you had to have a thumb amputated and you replaced it with your big toe or something like that. So
like it looks similar, but it's not the thing that
it's almost
original
it's
for the
functionally
job?
Equivalent, and you hope it works out, and you hope you can still pitch the baseball really good. But basically, yeah, your part goes bad, and you replace it with another part from your body that's similar enough to get the job done.
That is the most accurate but idiotic description I've ever heard of it before. So yes, please go on.
No, well, so I'm just wondering, like, what can a pitcher be the same after Tommy John surgery?
It does work. It does work sometimes. Like AJ Burnett did it. He did fine after. I'm not crazy about him because he has lack of control. But Chris Carpenter did it in 2007 and came back pretty well. Jabba Chamberlain failed really bad. But I don't know, guys like Octavio Dotel had it in 2005 and had plenty of good years after that. Eric Gagne had it in 97 and was okay, and then had it again in 2005, and that didn't work out. He's the guy that has the save streak all time. He played for the Dodgers a while back, if you don't remember. And some other guys. The Anibal Sanchez from the Tigers is probably the most notable one, I think, because he had a long stretch after it. Maybe John Schmaltz, right? Didn't he have?
Yeah.
Well, John
Tommy
Smoltz,
John?
I would say probably the guy
He was a closer after that, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, the guy
Is
who
he-
came back the fastest and had the biggest impact immediately was probably Billy Wagner. I mean, again, closing, but
Yeah,
came
sure, but-
back and had an immediate impact.
But I'd say that Anibal Sanchez has had the most success long term after, though, right?
Him or Chris Carpenter? Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. Well, Carpenter was pretty weirdly dominant when he was at the top of his game. But what does this really moving forward? What does this say about not just the pitcher market, which is ridiculous every year in baseball, but specifically Jake Arrieta is now there's chatter that he might be leaving because Theo Epstein, the GM of the Cubs, doesn't want to pay him in a couple years. Which I don't even know what we're talking about 2 years from now. I don't know why that's a subject. All of a sudden. Is it just because Arrieta is like the best pitcher in baseball today, or is it just because it's the Cubs and they're really good right now? Like,
Well, there's a couple of different things to consider with Arrieta, and the first thing, actually, I remember the first thing that I sent to you guys when we saw that, and we saw, hey, Arrieta is making this proclamation of, hey, pay me or I'm gone. I'm not going to give you a hometown discount. I'm not going to stay here just because I grew up a Cubs fan.
Does he have? Who's his agent? Is it Scott Boras, or do we not know?
Actually, you know what? Off the top of my head, I do not know.
Because if it's Scott Boras, that totally makes all the sense in the world.
Before and we'll come back to the Nationals here in a minute because Bryce Harper is represented by Scott Boras also, and there's interesting nuances to that. But as far as Arrieta, look, and this is where I'm going to say the potentially Skip Bayless thing, potentially genius, but potentially crash and burn. Here's the thing about Jake Arrieta. Take last year out. Yeah, I know I'm talking about the reigning, defending National League Cy Young winner. Okay, take that out of the equation and look at Jake Arrieta over his career. The guy over his career is good. He's a good journeyman. When you look at his career in Baltimore, average ERA of 5.8.
No, he was awful.
He wasn't awful. He was serviceable.
No, he had a year where he hit over 6. The next year he was like just barely sub 5. Like he's
right,
5
and then
or
his
6,
last year in
and then
Baltimore,
7.
and then when he went to Toronto, came back to Baltimore for a year, he was a train wreck. The guy has never won more than 10 games in a season, and that's, people say, oh, well, he didn't start that many.
Of course.
Bullshit. He went 3-9 in 2012, I think it was, and he started 18 games.
Well, he's no fluke though. The guy can actually pitch at this point. I mean, he's a genuine pitcher.
You say that, we don't know. We have no idea.
We definitely know. Hold on. He's on one of the best teams in baseball. Well, I guess the best team in baseball right now. But
exactly. And what bearing does that have on his free
ridiculous.
And what bearing does that have on him hitting free agency in 2 years?
Well, I don't know about 2 years, and that's why I'm interested in why that's even a conversation. But I mean, the dude can fucking pitch. His whip has been under 1 for 3 years. Like since back in 2014 when he had an ERA of 2.5, but the Cubs were shit, so he only won 10 games. No one was talking about him. I mean, he's been genuinely good for 2.5 years.
Yeah,
this is usually how pitchers go. They struggle, and they'll go up and down for a while unless they're, a rare breed. And then eventually, if they're going to be good, they figure it out. And this is how pitching works.
This is not what we've seen coming out of Strasburg, though. Strasburg has been over 11 wins 3 times in his career.
He's a strikeout pitcher.
He's a strikeout machine. You're right. He's a modern day Nolan Ryan. That's what you're going to get out of Strasburg.
Different. Strasburg is way different. Arrieta is more of a control. I mean, he'll strike guys out. He averages. I mean, this year he's only averaging 8 per 9 innings, but last year and the year before he's up in the 9s, which is good for a starting pitcher. He's not an elite strikeout guy, but he can control. He can work the strike zone.
He's also not an elite ERA guy over his career either. So
no, but he keeps guys off balance. He's been an elite ERA guy for 2.5 years. I mean, 2.25.
A year and a half. Let's be real. A year and a half.
That's elite. Under 3 is elite. I'd say for a starting pitcher, not for a bullpen guy, but still, I don't know. If he's anywhere near as good in 2 years, he'll get paid.
The NL Central also isn't the AL East. The NL Central doesn't score 9 runs a game the way the AL East does. So that's something to consider too. He's been working.
Well, the NL, I mean, without the DH, you're going to score less anyway.
Well, that's my point. He's in the NL Central. He's not an offensive powerhouse. Here's another point about Arrieta. He's 3 years older than Strasburg. He's hitting his prime right now. He's not gonna. I can't imagine a team, and I could be proven wrong here in 2 years. Maybe Arrieta goes out and he defends his. He becomes the reigning Cy Young winner in the National League for the next 3 years. But assuming that doesn't happen, the guy is going to be hitting free agency at 32. No one's going to throw down a 7-year contract in front of this guy. It's not going to happen. I do not see him getting this. He's not going to be a $200 million pitcher. He's not going to get the same kind of leverage that Strasburg had. It's just not going to happen. He is not as valuable over his career as Strasburg has been. He's just now hitting his stride, and he's 30 years old. No, Strasburg hitting his stride 2 years ago as a 25-year-old is far more valuable.
Man, I don't know.
I do not see him getting
Cliff
this
Lee
kind of
did
deal.
it into his 30s. I'm just saying.
Well, that's fine. I mean, no, he's in his prime right now. You know, the prime for a pitcher today, for a starting pitcher today, is 30 through 33. My point is when he's 32 years old, no one's going to put down a 7-year contract in front of this guy. It's not going to happen. And hey, and this goes for any take. Like I said, the guy could go out there and, win the next 2 Cy Youngs. We have no idea. But no, it's on paper. He does not have as much value looking at them side by side as Strasburg did. So no, I don't see Arrieta getting a $200 million deal.
I agree with you that he's not as valuable, but baseball GMs are awful.
Well, and now that being said, now you mentioned Theo Epstein. Epstein was not a guy when he was when Epstein was in Boston. He was not a guy that was going to keep a team together forever just because the fans liked Johnny Damon. He wasn't going to keep him there.
I don't think for a second that Theo Epstein's going to pay Jake Arrieta. A team
not
will
$200
pay for
million.
Jake Arrieta. No, they'll pay. I mean, he could. It might not be $200 million, but he'll get way overpaid, and he will not. Like the Tigers have a pretty good GM. Not great, pretty good. Do you know when Miguel Cabrera's, just off the top of your head, when his contract ends?
2 years.
2025. Miguel Cabrera will be like 850 years old. It's ridiculous. He's great. He's the best hitter probably
I was
ever.
still watching baseball when Miguel Cabrera came into the league when I was a little kid. So that's how old that guy is.
He's in his 30s now. He's not. I mean, he's certainly not Big Papi, but who is retiring. But man, like we got him in his.
He also
prime,
hasn't had the career that Big Papi had. He's had a great past 3 years. He's had a great past 3 years, but he didn't have that longevity that Big Papi did. He's still got a long way to go to see if he's going to break down the way Papi did, or the way Papi didn't.
Papi got to play in, the Metrodome when he was in Expo, and then he also got to play with the Green Monster, which is a pretty short porch if you can hit it up in the air, and he can. So I mean, his numbers are a little inflated, just like people like Curtis Granderson at Yankee Stadium, guys like that, where they don't have huge power, but they can pull it down the line 310 feet. Sure,
right. I mean, it's a classic example. Lance Berkman with the Stros there in Minute Maid having the Crawford boxes to pop it into.
Exactly. Yeah. And considering Comerica is one of the biggest parks in the league. I mean, I think it's 335 and 365 in the corners and 420 deep. Like he's not, and he's hitting crazy power numbers anyways. But I mean, he's kind of garbage right now for some reason. I think Ausmus is a terrible manager, and we can talk about that another time for sure. Probably right around the time he gets fired. But the point is, baseball teams give shit deals all the time because there's no salary cap, and they just want to get their guy, and they're desperate because it's baseball and it's kind of just how they've always operated. And until they get a salary cap, we won't see reasonable.
Right. Don't underestimate the ability of the Yankees and the Dodgers to go out there and the Angels to go out there and spend stupid money in 2 years.
I would not be surprised if he ended up on one of the coasts and he pitched his first. He's CC Sabathia. He's right-handed, white, CC Sabathia.
I'm curious about him going back into the American League, though. I mean, really, I'm curious about him wanting to go back into the AL East, where he was just dreadful with Baltimore. I don't see him. I don't see him going back into the AL. I really see him staying in the National League.
It's also important to note that when he played in the AL East, that was the best division in baseball.
Well, granted. I mean, that's been back when the Yankees, the Rays were making a little bit of a run back there in the early 2010s, and the Red Sox were still killing it. So no, you're absolutely right. That was the best division in baseball. But still, going out there, starting 22 games.
He wasn't great by any stretch.
Starting 18 games and winning 3. Only having 12 decisions on the year, only having a 51% percent chance of having a decision. Yeah, he wasn't great. But,
No, he was
going
pretty
back, there
garbage.
was another interesting point to consider because we teased it a little bit there with Harper. So Mike Rizzo, the Nationals GM, was asked in a conference yesterday, what's going to happen now? Well, he's general manager and president of baseball operations for the Nationals, was asked, how does this impact Bryce Harper coming up here in 2018? And, the first words out of his mouth almost instantly was, well, it doesn't. Every deal is an individual deal. It's not going to impact Harper at all. Bullshit. That is not the case because, and again, we're not wishing this on Strasburg, obviously, but Strasburg begins to break down. Max doesn't work out the way they thought he was going to. These guys are going to have 4 9-digit contracts on the books. And yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
That's
By the way,
crazy. You're going to
Scherzer was
have-
brilliant the other night. He struck out 20 against a terrible Tigers team.
And it was the ugliest 20 strikeouts you've ever seen because I want to say 6 of his strikeouts were 10-plus pitch at bats because of all the fouls and balls that he threw. It was a heavy night for him. It was a heavy workload.
The last really big pitching accomplishment that was that ugly, in my opinion, was the Edwin Jackson no-hitter where he walked like 7 dudes.
I can't recall it off the top of my head.
Oh man, it was so ugly.
But yeah, that almost does kind of make you think it's not that big of a deal. Like, every one of Nolan Ryan's games, he beaned at least no-hitters. He beaned at least 2 guys. But that was just to teach him a lesson. That was just to let him know who was boss.
Well, that's Nolan Ryan. He's an animal.
Saying that this isn't going to have an impact on Harper, absolutely bullshit. You don't know where the team is going to be. We didn't think that it was going to have a giant impact when the Phillies went out and started spending stupid money 4 years ago, and look at where they're at today. So no,
They have Ryan Howard. He's got a weird nose.
Oh,
His nose looks like cauliflower.
and
It's
Chase
disgusting.
Utley is going to be there forever, and we're going to love him, and he's going to be everybody's best friend. No,
You're ignoring the nose, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right to do at all. I think the nose deserves a little bit of a discussion because it's disgusting. It's the worst nose in human history, not sports history, human history.
that's
Ryan
an entire.
Howard's-
That's a whole show we could have about horrific noses.
Worst
So-
noses. Manu Ginobili, best nose.
I have something. I've been doing some research while you guys were talking, and Ryan Howard does indeed have a terrible nose. I'd forgotten. Like,
No,
it's
it's
a little
bad.
bizarre. Like, I
No,
can't.
it's super weird.
I can't see the rest of his face.
Well, it's
because
sort of like,
it's there.
I will say this about Ryan Howard's nose: it's the baseball equivalent. It's the nose equivalent of Tom Cruise's center tooth. Anyone out there who doesn't know what I'm talking about,
Center
Yeah,
tooth.
Google
No.
Tom Cruise center tooth, and you'll see he has an odd number of teeth in his mouth. So if you draw a straight line down his face, you'll never be able to watch a Tom Cruise movie again and not look at his teeth the whole time. It
and the
ruined
thing ab-
Top Gun for me. It ruined Pete Mitchell for me.
The thing about Ryan Howard's nose is when you look at it, it's never really the same in any two pictures. Like I'm looking at his what is this? Some sort
Like
of
it's sentient, or it's like
well, it changes shape and the knob on the end of it.
Yeah.
like is more or less bulbous depending on probably his mood. I assume.
Oh, yeah,
probably
actually,
blood
an
pressure
indicator.
related.
I'm moving my head
That's-
right now. It follows you like the Mona Lisa's
that's
eyes.
what I'd like to
Like
know.
everywhere you go.
The correlation between the bulb location and his batting average is something I'd really like to see.
I think we need an in-depth breakdown of Ryan Howard's nose to stats.
All right, okay.
And to really see how much it's affected. It might be the problem. He might have to Michael Jackson himself to have any sort of semblance of a career back.
And you know, guys, actually, one of the things about his nose that it really helps cover up is his ridiculous ears also. Look at
Oh,
his
yeah,
ears.
they fold in and out at the same time.
They're reverse elf ears. Like elf ears point outwards, his like go inward. They're like reverse like he's the wood elves and they're the, forest elves or something. He's a dark elf. Yeah. Oh, that's not a race joke.
That's
Yes, it was.
Ryan Howard, you seem like a nice guy, but I mean,
He has no idea how to bend a hat brim. Jesus Christ. Look at that thing. It's like bent at an
okay.
acute
You sound
angle.
like an old white guy. Anyways, moving on to another great nose, Manu Ginobili, and the Spurs, who lost to the Thunder in the NBA playoffs, and boy, did they look like shit last night. Man, so they blow out the Thunder in Game 1, and they have a couple close games here and there, and then the Thunder take the lead, and then they just shit all over the hopes and dreams of every San Antonio Spurs fan, faculty, like family members of the players on the team. Like everyone who's lightly connected to the Spurs should feel like shit right now because their effort until the last 8 minutes of that game was abysmal.
Well, yeah, well, I think that's I agree, but I think that's emphasized by the just like the Spurs are a bunch of dinosaurs and the Thunder are really athletic. So when the Thunder have their shit together a little bit and when they execute a little bit, suddenly the Spurs are gonna look like garbage in comparison.
David, you know what it looked like? It looked like a team whose two best players were 40-year-olds. That's what they look like over the last 3 games.
Kawhi and LaMarcus, they play like old men. You know?
Well, right, no,
they're quiet and they have fundamentals, and it's weird. Except one of them has cornrows. He's really soft spoken, though. Did you know that when Kawhi Leonard got drafted, he had his mom move in with him to keep him grounded? Isn't that weird?
Like actually grounded, like he had to go to his room. Yeah,
like
probably that too, but also to keep him from like spending all his money and shit, which sounds wise, but then it's weird.
Oh, maybe, honestly, maybe the guy needs a little bit of.
If he's self-conscious about that, cool. But it just struck me as weird.
Yeah, dude, you hire a financial planner for that. That's Norman Bates shit right there, man. That's what.
Weird. Are you suggesting that his mom is just like a skeleton in a dress, like?
Kawhi Leonard's headline: Kawhi Leonard's mom, just a skeleton in a dress.
That's it, dude.
But yeah, the Spurs last night were depressing because this is a team that was so goddamn excellent during the season.
Yeah,
it was unreal watching them get smoked like that. And I'm watching this game, and I'm wondering like why. And I've been watching the Spurs all season, but I'm watching this game and I'm wondering why is Pop running out these lineups with all these like old dinosaurs? Like what? These guys are so overmatched.
I think Kawhi Leonard out there. I know that Tim Duncan, David West, and Kyle Anderson, who is their backup small forward. No, it was Manu. It was Manu at the 2. And man, it looked really old. Although Andre Miller came in there and he got an offensive rebound and a layup right away. I'm like, oh, and then he ran a pick and roll with Duncan. You're like, are they gonna do it? And then Manu gets the ball and just can't. He loses his mind. They look so slow.
Well, like Kevin Martin, who's like a couple years ago he was scoring 20 points a game, but he's 33 now. Couldn't jump to save his life. And the first thing he did when he got in the game, he went up, thought he had a finger roll, and got rejected violently by someone about 3 inches his junior. So
yeah. Oh, and the block at the end when Duncan drove in and Ibaka just basically looks at him like, "All right, you're not gonna move? Okay." And then he just popped it away. Like, and Duncan fell on the ground and looked confused and disappointed.
Well, that's like a punctuation mark on his career. Like he thought he was gonna have a Space Jam moment. It is sad.
This is a guy I remember watching. Was it against the Nets when they beat the Pistons 2 years in a row in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think, where he was like 1 assist or 1 block away from a quadruple double, and they just destroyed in the finals. And I'm like, man, big fundamental. He's like the best player I've ever seen. Like at a big position. Like he's just so sound in every facet. And now to see him just get panned by everyone in media, and also just, I mean, he got reverse posterized by Serge Ibaka.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, and he can be a solid player at times, but like,
he had 19 points. I mean, he wasn't like a
but still
scrub,
like
but he was
on defense and rebounding. Like Steven Adams just gave him like one long wedgie through the whole game. Like he's just so.
Steven Adams clearly owned that matchup.
Steven Adams was just a monster. He's too big. He's too like he can jump, which
it's the man bun.
It's the mustache too.
No, he keeps the power in the man bun. The mustache is like the new radial tires.
Okay, I see.
This is like the engine that runs him. The man bun is, and then the mustache, it gives him more gription or something.
So Tim Duncan can at least make a couple shots. Manu Ginobili can't dribble the basketball.
No,
he can't play defense either.
He looked drunk out there. He really did.
At the end of that game, he's matched up against Russell Westbrook, who, let's be real, no one can guard him one-on-one anyways. But now you put old man Manu out there, he's always been an effort guy, but never like the best defender on a floor usually. And now he's like the oldest dude ever, And he's out there, and you see it in his face. And I've never seen Manu Ginobili actively worried about another player until that moment, right at the end, where he's pretty much the twilight of his career, probably his last game ever. And Westbrook is like in his triple threat stance, jabs, and Manu backs up every time, and then Westbrook kind of shrugs and goes, okay, and shoots a three, nails it, and then no chance. That's the Spurs' death toll. Well, that's it.
Yeah, well, and I think, his interviews have started to get, like, kind of dark. Like, he's depressed about being...
Manu?
Yeah, well, like...
I haven't seen any of them.
Well, he's, he knows that he's not good anymore, and he had to be, like, convinced. He had to be convinced to re-sign. So when you hear, like, when he's interviewed, it's almost like this existential angst about his mortality comes through because of how poorly he's playing basketball. Like, he knows he doesn't have anything in the tank anymore.
So you're saying that his interviews have become how, like, Ted Cruz's were over the past 2 weeks, basically. That's
Ted Cruz.
Like, he knew the end was coming, but he just, I gotta suffer through this shit.
The best part about the Ted Cruz thing was when right at the end, people were like, oh yeah, now you're the Zodiac Killer. And he kind of took it seriously and was like, no, I'm not. And he had to defend himself against being the Zodiac Killer.
Guys,
and his wife came up to it. Like, that's so weird. It was such a great internet moment.
See, I'm surprised that his supporters didn't say, no, he can't be the Zodiac Killer, because the Zodiac Killer is Obama. Bam! There you go. Case closed. Can't be. I'm surprised that didn't happen.
Yeah, so is this the end of the Spurs as we know it? Really? Like, I think Tim Duncan looked done at the end of the night.
It's the end of this incarnation of the Spurs. Yes.
Well, I mean, they're not ever going to be bad in the, I mean, well, not ever, but I mean, with Kawhi and Aldridge on the floor together,
you've got a solid core. Yeah, you've got a solid core to build around.
I'm saying, is this the end of that dynasty?
Yes.
Yes, this incarnation
do they have to pass the
yes,
torch
they're
now?
done. Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, they won 67 games with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili not having hardly anything, and like guys like David West and Kevin Martin and Andre Miller playing heavy minutes, and these guys are, let's just say, past their primes, and that's generous. So I mean,
no. Martin passed his prime about the first time he laced up a pair of shoes.
This is why in horse racing, holla back to episode 1. This is why in horse racing you kill the horse when it's Dover. You kill it.
I thought they went out and banged forever. Which is it, Jake?
No. Like if they break their leg on a race course, like they have to kill it. This is why that happens, because when Tim Duncan got blocked, that was the equivalent of breaking your leg during the Kentucky Derby. When Manu got just destroyed by Westbrook, that was the same thing. Like, these guys are done. These guys have been so done, like all year basically. They've had good seasons, sort of, but not like up to their standards. And these playoffs, like Tim Duncan disappeared. Manu Ginobili I don't even know, how is he on a team other than Pop likes him, honestly. Well, and Pop looked old last night too. Pop usually has a lot of energy and he's usually fired up. And man, he just looked like,
well, he's probably, you notice he put out a desperation lineup in the first quarter. He started playing Boban Marjanovic heavy minutes, and he was getting roasted. Like, that guy, I mean, bless his heart, he's got soft touch and he's a gentle giant, but the guy is he's so slow, and just another guy for Steven Adams to punk over and over and over. So
Parker had flashes of playing well, but
yeah, Tony Parker had almost looked resurgent, but that's obviously nothing like what he was. So, well,
as the series went on, they stopped having the 3 days in between games, and they started having every other, and then they looked really gassed.
Right, and that's something where youth is going to be able to beat experience.
Well, and that's the thing. Like all season and every year for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been like, okay, the Spurs are old, but they keep winning. And then this is actually the first time they've genuinely looked old. Like, usually it's just hyperbole, and we're like, yeah, they're old, they're over 30, blah, blah, blah. No, now they're old. It's not just because they lost. They looked old if they would have won this, because they would have got destroyed by Golden State, because they're up and down all day. Like, there's nothing they got there.
Right.
But, man.
But it's worth mentioning, this team did have their best regular season in the Tim Duncan era. Like,
I know, isn't that wild?
Yeah, and I mean,
honestly, I think that's because of the the phoenix like rising of Kawhi Leonard, though. I mean, he was easily the
absolutely.
best player on
but
that team.
He's obviously not like, because he's still inconsistent in these big moments. That's pretty obvious. Like he has
he's usually really good on defense though, which is something you need to be.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, he's
to have
consistently
wins
great
in
on
the NBA.
defense, but obviously, like when he tries to take on the scoring load, sometimes he just looks like he's forcing it out
He
there.
shoots a lot of threes when he presses, and he shoots a lot of not a lot of set like squared up jump shots. He'll usually be drifting, or he'll try to drive, but he'll go way too fast, and he'll kind of miss a layup, stuff like
and
that.
And you see, when he's at his best, he's very grounded and
calm.
Calm.
Well, you see that kind of zen-like shit out of, I don't know. Dirk used to be like that, where he just kind of float at you, and it'd just be real smooth. And like Ray Allen never looked like he was using any energy whatsoever. Rip Hamilton is a good example, even though he ran all over the place. He always just looked like calm and in the moment. Kawhi sometimes, while he's a very quiet dude, he doesn't have that killer
same
sort of thing.
In the Clippers series last year, it's the same kind of, his game starts to look jittery, and suddenly he's not smooth on offense anymore. And he looks like, he's forcing it, or he's either forcing it or he disappears a little bit.
Yeah, and I never noticed how not clutch LaMarcus Aldridge is. You know what I mean? Like he's just kind of like there, and he'll get his numbers, but he's never really, I don't know, he's never a really big impact guy.
Well, yeah, I agree, because the guy, honestly, he probably should have been getting the ball more. But in the fourth quarter,
he will next year. Let's be real.
Oh yeah. Well, but like he was really efficient the whole series, except for one really bad game. But in the fourth quarter, he honestly should be demanding the ball, and
they should be starting with him and feeding it out, because if Kawhi can get those set shots and like pick and pop and stuff like that, like they need to run. Well, like they do, just run it like you did with Duncan in his prime, because it'll work.
Yeah,
we know it'll work. And LaMarcus Aldridge is probably he's more athletic than Duncan ever was, but I don't know if he's better at the fundamentals of the game. But
well, he's a similar, like, you can just give him the ball and let him go to work, and he's good enough that it's a good play to just say, LaMarcus, do your thing, you know. So check this out. LaMarcus, he had, I think, 16 and 12 in the first half yesterday, and then when they should be mounting a comeback. Let's see. I think he finished the game with 18 and 14. So
he wasn't even on the floor when I started watching.
Well, in the fourth quarter, he wasn't much. But I guess my point is, the guy, he's not assertive enough, and in the playoffs,
he's not.
He's less assertive.
They need a fire guy, and Tim Duncan's always been this pretty stoic dude, but when he got going, I mean, he would like pump up, and you knew he was the guy. Like he came in after Robinson, and Robinson was the leader of that team for a while, and then he retired, and then it was Duncan's team, and you knew it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know whose team this is. Pop's team, but I don't know. Like no one on the you always need a guy on the floor in your front five that is the guy, and they don't have that leader yet. And Parker could have been that, but I don't think he cares.
No, yeah, they need a spark plug. They need a passionate guy out there. Like they've kind of over the last couple of years, they've like taken turns being that guy, but sometimes like there's just not a guy there.
Yeah, and I don't know who it even could be at this point that's on the roster.
Well, maybe when they get Pau Gasol in free agency, that could be a nice leader. You know, he's a really
Pau Gasol's. I mean, honestly, if they're going after Durant, is that happen? If Durant gets on that team, where does he play? The 4?
They just have to make it work. I don't care. Like if
or does Kawhi bring the ball up, or
I mean,
I don't know.
Well, it's weird.
You could get I don't know. Mike Conley is available.
Mike Conley is a Spurs guy. He's like that stoic.
He's a Spurs guy, right?
Yeah.
He's very much like Parker. He's not like a huge points guy. He'll have his nights, but he's steady. And that sounds like the type of guy that I would go get. Bradley Beal is available. He's just too much of a shooter.
Well, they need some shooting. Like they don't.
No, I know. I'm just saying, as far as the guy, he's not going to be. He could definitely play with them.
They don't need another guy that wants to dribble a lot. They already have. Like that's what Kawhi Leonard does now. You know.
Right.
So.
I know. I'm just trying to. Kent Bazemore actually would be a really, really good addition to that team.
Yeah, well, he's an energy guy too, and they need some of those. And now he's a 3-and-D guy, and that's what they need. They need shooting. And
I'd actually run him at the 2 just because Kawhi can play the 3 probably better.
I agree.
But yeah, and maybe, I don't know, Sullinger would be a good pickup too. Like, there's guys out there that they could get. Jeff Green's available that could give you a little bit of fire and also firepower, like on the offensive side, which is clearly what they need. Because the defense is, with Pop, I'm never worried about that. And he's going to mix his role players in there perfectly, like always. I like Kyle Anderson, by the way. He's actually a pretty nice small forward.
He is.
And he can do a little bit of everything. But right now, dead. They're going to be middle of the road Western Conference.
Which is the worst place to be in basketball. You don't want to be
I'm not sure where this is coming from because they did win 67 games this year with a historic.
No, I understand. I'm saying
how are
like
they going to be middle of the road?
I'm not saying playoff seed. I'm saying just their performance. Like they're going to continue to lose in this round until they get a guy. Like these two, if they're the leaders of the team, it's not going to work out for them. I don't know.
I'm a little because
the Warriors are going to own them for years, and the Thunder, if they stay together, are going to own them. So there's no way they're getting to the Western Conference Finals and winning.
Did you see? I guess I disagree. Like we've seen what they can do. You saw Game 1; they had like 40 assists, and they just if they make shots, if their shooters shoot.
I'm just saying that's I'm assuming this is without Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker on the floor. Tony Parker's probably coming back. But no, I know, but those are the leaders. And when you only have quiet guys, I don't think you have the chemistry that they have right now. Like no one's speaking up on the floor, and that's important. I think they drop 10 games if they don't get a guy.
Yeah, that's
I think they might win 57 games still.
I think that we should expect them to drop 10 games anyways because 67 games is ridiculous. It's kind of crazy.
Which David,
I would say their high is 10 games less than this, but they're probably going to be close to 50. Like, I don't see him winning more. Like, the West is still stacked. And it depends on what I guess Durant does and some other guys. But
all right, so now I hope you know that you sound like what we do every single year when the Spurs finish a season and what everyone's been
I know I do,
forever.
but this is the first year where I actually believe that. I was never one of those people. I was like, no, it's the Spurs.
Sure you weren't.
No, I'm a huge Spurs fan. If I wasn't a diehard Pistons fan, I could be a Spurs fan because I love that brand of basketball. I mean, I grew up like Bad Boys were the thing, the actual team, and then we get into the Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups era team, and these guys have always been a team.
Right.
And man, I love that style of basketball. Everyone hates it. Everyone else hates it. I can't imagine a Warriors fan ever being a Spurs fan. Like it just doesn't make sense. You can you're both, but you're a basketball fan first, I think.
And David, we talked there about how you're going to lose the leadership on this team. Who takes over once? And I mean, this is also assuming Duncan and Ginobili are gone. Is Kawhi Leonard going to lead this team?
No,
I mean,
I think he's a leader as far as statistically he will lead a lot of categories.
No, I mean that general out on the floor with you. Who's that guy going to be?
I think they gotta go get one.
They gotta have to go. They don't have one there.
Does Parker still on contract for next year?
He's there through 17-18, I think.
So he'll be there, but he's not very effective. Like he has flashes, but he's slow. He's a liability on defense at this point. He can run your offense, but it's not going to be what the NBA demands from point guards at this point.
Yeah,
because the game has changed for them.
So I guess I'm I feel a little resistant to this idea that they're gonna dissolve without Tim Duncan.
I don't think they're gonna dissolve. I think they're still gonna be relevant. I just don't think they're gonna.
This thing about leadership though, which is so intangible, and I just don't know. Like we don't know what this and Tim Duncan is so stoic, and he's a lead by example guy. He does have an intensity and a passion about him, as quiet as he can be. But
he had clout.
Clout. Well, but I mean, Kawhi Leonard, as he continuously ascends, he carries some clout. You just watch him work the way he did this year, and he's developing. He's turning into that guy. Maybe.
What I'm hoping is when those guys leave, I think he just has immense respect for them, as you would. I think when those guys leave, it's his team officially, right?
Yeah.
Even with Tony Parker still there. I'm hoping that we see one more step up because he really only needs one more until he's elite, like the best of the best guys, where we're talking MVP every year. If he takes that team and embraces that role, I don't see much being dissolved, but they do need some pieces, and I really think they need a point guard for sure. But
Right.
yeah, but yeah, they looked old, but the Thunder they looked really good, and everyone thought that they lost game 1 and Durant was like already on another team already.
Oh yeah.
Like he was gone.
I'm guilty.
He was already
I'm so
interviewing.
guilty.
Yeah, he was going to the Heat. Like why?
Well,
it was,
He's going to the Pelicans. It's a done deal. He's already
But I
there.
mean-
He won't even finish the series.
It's not so out of like this is the Thunder like you think they should play with the talent they have.
Yeah.
But that's not what we've
agree.
seen most of the year, so I don't think it's crazy all these things we're thinking. Like it wasn't crazy to think the Spurs were going to win this series because we saw a whole season of the Spurs being excellent and a whole season of the Thunder like Durant and Westbrook not meshing and them not executing and then not playing good defense.
well, I think Billy Donovan all year, I guess this is what I've been hearing. Westbrook and Durant wanted to be on the same call it a line like hockey every time. They wanted to play together all the time. And this series, he's like, no, we need consistent scoring all the time. So Westbrook will come out and Durant will go in, and they'll play together sometimes, but there's always one of them usually. And that really helped them because now they have a go-to guy all the time.
Right.
And that's so valuable. I mean, that's like Pip and Jordan-esque stuff we got going on now. And that's exactly what you need. And I think it really helps Westbrook, although he puts up ridiculous stats when he's the guy, like he really embraces that situation, and
Right.
he defers to Durant too much when they're on the floor together, I think, which is something that sounds ridiculous when you think of the guy Durant is, but sometimes you just see like Westbrook just not do a thing he would normally do if Durant wasn't on the floor.
That's I think a thing that's kind of grown as he's kind of gotten, he's gotten shit sometimes through his career for shooting too much, but now he actually maybe is overcompensated a little bit, which is weird. Like imagine Russell Westbrook, you need to shoot more, be more assertive. Russell Westbrook, be more assertive. That's ridiculous.
Right.
But
but man, when he drives down the lane, he brings the fucking hammer.
Yeah.
He goes to kill, and I love his game. I know he's not. We've discussed this. He's not sound defensively, fundamentally, but fuck, is he just 100% effort all the time. He's a pit bull that never gets tired. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, if Russell Westbrook isn't one of your favorite players to watch, you
don't like
inside.
basketball.
Yeah,
you
definitely
don't like
dead
basketball if you don't enjoy watching Westbrook's hustle out there. You just don't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only person that I could understand not enjoying watching Russell Westbrook play is someone like Dick Cheney, who's just a husk of a human.
Right. Or just someone who wants to see it may be okay. Not knocking the WNBA, but I prefer the WNBA because it's only fundamentals, not just dunks and flash.
Nobody has
WNBA is
ever
boring as
seriously
fuck.
said that. No one has ever really meant those words coming out of their stupid face.
But
We get it. We get it. You're trying to impress the lesbian at your office who works in accounting. We get it, Shelley. No, you do not prefer the WNBA.
Yeah. And again, I like the WNBA. It's fun to watch, but
don't say that out of your stupid face. Kyle.
It's the truth. I enjoy. I'm not, but to compare it to the NBA is kind of crazy. It's not
I'm from
the same
Houston,
game.
where
You're
the
missing
Comets
something.
were. We were the best WNBA team ever, and I don't give two shits about it.
I
No
had
one gives
the
two shits
Detroit
about it.
Sparks with Karl Malone's daughter, who looks like Karl Malone had a sex change.
Now, is this Karl
And-
Malone's child that he had with a 12-year-old back in Louisiana?
I don't
Is it
remember.
that
It
one?
doesn't.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. He's the mailman. He can deliver to whoever he wants.
Oh boy! All right.
Also, Bill Laimbeer was the coach of that team. I should love the WNBA. Didn't care. The thing is though, it's just like the NHL, although worse. They just don't fucking advertise it enough. I know they don't have any money, but at the same time, you got to tell people. I don't even know how to get a game. You have to watch
Yeah,
NBA
don't you watch them
TV at like
online?
11
Aren't they-
p.m.
It doesn't have
ESPN
its own
4.
network or something. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The
No,
Quattro.
I have no
ridiculous.
idea. No, yeah,
Yeah, no.
Well, I enjoy watching it when I watch it, but I've never like made an effort. Like I've never reached for my remote to turn on a WNBA game.
Yeah.
So
Well, now, guys, before we go away from the Spurs, let me ask, and this is the all-important question for me, being, a big sports journalist connoisseur and just eating
Right.
sports journalism all the time.
course.
Tim Duncan, he would be, in my opinion, the absolute most bland thing ever behind a microphone on camera. Agree or disagree?
that's
Agree.
That would be
I-
the
But I
worst
want it
job
anyways.
ever. Oh my god,
I
he
want
would
it
be.
so bad.
He would be the yogurt-flavored yogurt.
I want him to sit in between Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal, and I want
And just
them,
moderate. He should just moderate
just-
Shaquille and Chuck
I just
forever.
want to know, like, what would he possibly say to any of those things? Like, just like nod his head and go, "Yes, I agree," or perhaps, "No, I disagree," or perhaps if he's feeling really like Randy, it's like, "No, I really disagree," and that's about the best you're gonna get. Out of Tim
Shaquille
Duncan.
O'Neal, I respectfully disagree, sir. And that's
You're
like
right.
when he's really like pissed off. That's
Like,
a Skip
"Whoa,
Bayless
Tim
top
Duncan."
level.
He
Yeah,
brought out the eyebrows. That's his only indicator of emotion. Like, whoa, put
I
away
would-
those eyebrows, Tim Duncan. You might hurt someone.
I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a year off from basketball entirely, spends time with his family, maybe goes back to the Virgin Islands where he came from, and hangs out and then misses the game, comes back, gets on Pop's bench, and replaces Pop, and then spends another 30 years as a Spur as the coach.
You know what I could see him doing, because he does have a great mind for the game whenever you listen to him. I'm not saying he's going to be in this position immediately, but sort of what we've seen with John Elway, how he's become a part of the Broncos culture and how he's now
Yeah.
moved into that position. I could see him being a guy who's involved in player personnel. I could.
Oh,
He's
really
got a
see that
lifetime
out of
job
him.
if he wants it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't see him doing as much administrative work maybe as you see like John Elway does.
And not immediately. This will be something he does in 3 or 4 years. I totally
Okay.
agree with Jake. He's going to take a break and he's going to go away. But I think he's going to be a Spur for life, not just his career life. I mean, for life. He is going to be a Spur, and he's going to be a part of that organization. I mean, he's a god in San Antonio. I mean, and those
yeah.
people have nothing to look forward to in their daily lives. I've been there. Everything Charles Barkley said about their women is 100% true. In fact,
What did he say about the San Antonio women?
You don't remember this last year?
I do not live in
in
Texas,
the play.
therefore
Well,
I do not remember.
I guess
or
you,
care.
I guess you
until
don't
now.
get TNT in whatever fuck state you live in. Well,
I don't have
he just called him fat. It was come on, man.
That's it. Wow.
He said
you
other
could just
stuff.
you could just blindly throw that at most states. Like, you know what I hate about fucking Wisconsin? Fat.
Let me
the
tell
fat
you
ones.
about these San Antonio fans. They're all a bunch of
Is that
fat
is that your
knuckleheads.
Charles Barkley impression?
I said knucklehead, so it counts, right?
better
I mean, it
than I
works.
would
Man,
attempt. Like,
that's terrible.
That's terrible. That's just, you know what? Everybody,
Anyways,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
sit this
you know
one
what
out.
Charles Barkley is? Charles Barkley is the Arnold Schwarzenegger of basketball personalities. Nobody can really impersonate him that well, but we can all say "gets us a chopper." We can all say that's terrible. So everybody can do a 2-word Charles Barkley impersonation.
That's probably
So-
accurate. Hey, guys, breaking news. That's our breaking news sounds. Heat beat the Raptors 103-91 recently, like minutes ago, which means we get a Game 7. Woo!
Yay.
Which I like
More-
because this
more
is actually a good
Raptors.
series. These guys, though.
It has surprisingly been one of the most entertaining series. I mean, the one that nobody gives two shits about, really, at the end of the day, from a national viewing standpoint. But it really has been the most entertaining series so far.
It's genuinely good basketball. I will
it's-
say that.
it's competitive. Well, I
The
don't
most
know.
competitive. That's the right word
Yeah.
right there.
You want
David,
to say it's
you
good
nailed it.
basketball? They're playing hard. They might not have superstars, but you don't need that to play good, sound
Oh,
basketball.
hold on. Dwayne Wade's been a fucking monster in these.
He's an
playoffs.
animal.
Well,
he is
all
ridiculous.
playoffs
I thought
long. All
like
playoffs
we
long.
think
He's been
like
insane.
every time
but
I
he's
think
no
there's
longer a
another guy.
superstar.
Well, he's played like one through these playoffs. He's still
Of course.
only plays,
I mean, he's a superstar. Like Dan Marino's still a superstar. You know.
You mean not
Right,
at all?
yeah.
Like we all respect
Like-
what you used to do, and you know now, and obviously not Marino, but now Wade is showing some flashes. And his contract's up this year. He's only 34, but man, is he giving everything to the game.
Oh yeah,
And all-time leading shot blocker for a guard with like 190 something or whatever. And leading this team without Bosch, by the way, which is their second best player.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
and Hassan Whiteside's out right now.
Breaking news: Dwayne Wade just. Sorry to say this, Lou, but Dwayne Wade just moved into number 12 on the all-time postseason scoring list, right above Hakeem Olajuwon.
Right above the Dream. Yeah, my city has nothing. The oil and gas industry sucks. We have nothing to fucking live for anymore.
You can live for just wait. No, you can only not live once Nolan Ryan also does not live.
When Nolan Ryan dies, I can't imagine the amount of mass suicide that will go on in southeastern Texas. Like, it will be like an episode of The Walking Dead. It's going to be catastrophic.
You guys still have what, like Craig Biggio, or
Craig Biggio? There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
you could
latch on to
Jeff
that
Bagwell.
Well, no, but I mean, not to go too much into the thing.
I
mean, Biggs and Bags are not as iconic as Nolan Ryan. I mean,
who's as iconic as Nolan Ryan in Texas? Jerry Jones for all the wrong reasons?
Jesus plays a pretty good second fiddle, but I mean, after that, I mean...
Yeah, it's not. I
mean, Troy Aikman opened up a couple of Wingstop restaurants. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So,
ooh, Wingstop. That's man. I've never had Wingstop. I've always
it's
looked
just
at
like
it and been
Buffalo
like,
Wild Wings, but a much shittier environment. So,
yeah,
it looks like we're not getting paid by Wingstop to sponsor us. B-dubs,
but hey, Buffalo Wild Wings, send us some wings.
Yeah. So Dwayne Wade, Hall of Famer, right?
Oh, well, not even a question.
Yeah,
of course. Okay, so that out of the way.
We just marked that off. Hold on.
I figured that.
Finally, it's been decided.
But that's the precursor to this next question. Third best shooting guard of all time? Behind, obviously, I would say Michael and Kobe. Is he third?
Ugh.
Yeah. But I feel comfortable saying that because I never watched Jerry West and all those guys.
Jerry West was a point guard, though.
I think
he played shooting guard halftime, I think. But I didn't watch him, so maybe I'm a fucking liar. So.
You can certainly make the point that he is absolutely the third best. He is the third best shooting guard in the history of
Allen Iverson's there, Clyde Drexler, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, George Gervin, which is maybe my third. Joe Dumars, Vince Carter's definitely not in there. I mean, James Harden might make that hard for us later if he ever decides to play hard.
Ugh, that makes me sick to my stomach.
The idea of that is disgusting.
Well,
that's insulting.
Klay Thompson could make a run at that, by the way, if he has a continuing good career.
But see,
Oscar Robertson.
Also, the thing about Dwayne, he's done it over so many years, but he's done it with so many iterations of the Heat. You know, you've had all the different generations of the Heat, whereas with the Spurs, and this is not to take anything away from their dynasty, they've really been the same core for the last decade, a little over a decade. They've been the same core. Dwayne Wade has done this with his original iteration when they beat the Mavericks a number of years ago, then when they had the Big Three, and now he's still out there slaying it.
Oh, yeah. And
he's absolutely one of the best.
To add, I completely agree, Lou, about his postseason resume, the way he's performed and the numbers he's put up. But also, the guy, I'd say for a year or two stretch in his prime, he was equal to or better than Kobe. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
I remember
certainly
2-3
in the playoffs.
years,
I mean, that's debatable during the regular season.
The year they won that championship was Shaq, right?
Yeah, against the Mavericks.
He's playing against the Pistons, and it's a good Pistons team too. It's not shitty, and I watched every single game back then. And dude goes in, drives into the lane, and you think Ben Wallace is going to obliterate the entire world that Dwayne Wade knows. And instead, Dwayne Wade kind of bounces off of the body of Ben Wallace, spins around, and throws it up because he hears a whistle
behind
over the backboard and in. And I just thought, okay, they're going to win. And they did. And then they won the finals. And it's like, man, this guy is unreal. And he's still kind of doing it, just slower.
I remember watching that live, and one of the guys I was with said, that guy shoved a game genie up his ass before the game. That was ridiculous.
And it's weird. You remember these little moments? Like, that layup didn't really matter that much.
No, but be in the Hall of Fame. It'll be in the video package for his Hall of Fame it'll probably be the thing that they close on.
That to me is up there with the time Vince Carter jumped over that European dude and put his nuts in his eyes, and just destroyed him in the Olympics. Like the dude could just straight up ball, and he always plays hard, and he plays really great defense, both help and on ball and off ball running around. I mean, he's the guy I wanted the Detroit Pistons to draft in that draft. Instead, we got
completely unselfish guy. He reworked his contract to let other guys.
We're not going to
come
talk
in.
about.
Let's not do a Darko.
Don't even.
Sorry,
no,
I'm sorry.
Don't
I'm
say his
sorry.
name.
No,
I
say
won't.
his name.
I won't say it. Okay, I know if you say it 3 times and we'll leave it at 1.
If you say it 3 times, we're going to draft his little brother or something.
Oh my
Right.
god.
No, where I was going with that with Dwayne Wade is he reworked his contract to allow the team to continue to expand. I mean, the guy's been nothing but a team player the entire time. Just overall great dude.
Which would only, the Heat have this weird track record for being super loyal, and I don't get it.
For being a fairly new team, they're
It's
not
Pat
technically
Riley
an extension
though.
team.
Like he's never been afraid to ship a guy, right?
It's a weird. It doesn't go especially well. They've kept Udonis Haslem around well past the point. Whoa, and
I forgot he existed until the other day, and I was like, "Oh, he's on the floor again." And then he missed a dunk, and I was like,
on the floor because Patrick Wiley wants him to be on the floor. It's to make a show of like, hey, we will treat you right. Look what we're doing with Udonis Haslem.
Do you really think Udonis Haslem is a walking billboard for the altruism of the Miami Heat?
Yeah, I do. Well, what about Juwan Howard? Juwan
Howard was a charity thing.
I was about to say,
honestly, what Juwan Howard was and all those other guys were, it was because the big 3 cost way too fucking much money, and they couldn't afford anyone but the veteran minimum guys.
Right. That's what Birdman was. He was not there for his ability. Birdman. He was there because, all right, look, you're all we can afford to bring on. Because
Shane Battier,
because Jake is too busy to come play for us, so we've got to have.
Yeah.
Jake
I was
had
not
way
available.
too much shit going on.
I have to because I'm petty. I have to give a shout out to Birdman and Shane Battier's 2012 when they were good for a little while, right before they fell off.
Birdman could rebound with the best of them, and Shane Battier was basically Bruce Bowen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like they were bad. It's like
Birdman.
You are here for a specific reason. Let the other guys do their work.
Well, in 2012, Birdman dunked a shitload and had like a 12 for 12 game and was a great role man and played decent defense.
Had a single 12 for 12 game.
Something like he had some crazy.
How was that?
Games.
Okay.
And of course, from that last finals win, the most significant shot was Gary Payton's shot there. That ode to Mario Ellie's kiss of death there at the end of Game 6. I mean, that was the shot that completely changed the series and just totally turned the tide. So, again, another role player that made a bigger impact than the Big 3 did.
Saying Chris Anderson was good one year because he went 12 for 12 in a single game. It's like saying Bob Sura was one of the best players in the league because he almost had 3 triple-doubles in a row. But they took it. Do you remember they took? Hold on, they took it away because at the end of the game he was on a fast break and he intentionally missed a layup to pad his rebounding stat and then put it back in.
Oh yeah. No,
and they
absolutely.
took that away. For Houston Rockets.
Fuck that guy, and also fuck Chris Anderson for some of his really bad tattoos and his terrible dunk contest performance. But I cannot sit here and listen to you guys trash his 2012 playoffs when he was a fucking roll man monster. Like he dunked so many times, just the perfect lob catcher for a season before he lost his legs. Right before that precipitous drop, and he lost it.
Right.
Shout out Tyson Chandler. It was like your whole career.
Now, guys, to take us back to the original topic on this of the actual series,
which was
what?
Not Bob Sura?
No. Surprisingly, Bob Sura did not make the rundown for the show. He just kind of
he always had that. He always combed the front of his hair up because he thought it was still the 90s.
He thought it was the white guy 90s
wasn't.
Pop thing. Yeah,
yeah, no, it wasn't still. But he's like, nah, I'm keeping it.
We'll set a Bob Sura episode aside and try and move on.
Because
Bob
our
Sura
listeners
Appreciation Day.
Because our listeners need to listen to a 4-minute long episode, right?
Well, the guy participated in a dunk contest, so there's something. But anyways,
but back on the series, back on the actual series that we're looking at today between the Heat and the Raptors, we all agree, right? This is just a Bachelor challenge, a Bachelor-style reality show challenge to see who will be the virgin that gets offered up to Godzilla, right, to be eaten by the Cavs, right? We all agree that this is just.
Oh yeah.
This is just
I can't imagine a
killed.
scenario. I cannot imagine a scenario where you could combine both rosters and let them have a 24-man team, and I don't think that they would. And they could also have a 6-man on the court.
Have 8 of them on the court at a time. Yeah,
sure. And I still don't think they have much of a shot. Like the Cavs are just so much better, and the East is just that much worse off than the West right now.
The talent in the East is so much more concentrated than it is in the West, where you have a greater distribution of talent. Now, granted, in the West you probably have you have more superstars in the West, but it's distributed over 3 or 4 teams as opposed to in the East, where it's the Cavaliers and everybody else, right? It's 2 tiers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there's some up and coming teams like the Celtics, Pistons. I think the Wizards should be good, but they just turn out not to be. But they're not very efficient on offense, which is their big problem. But I think the East is going to be good, and especially after this next free agency period, we'll see where certain people end up. But we say that every year, and they end up in the West. So,
well, I wouldn't want to play in the East with any of those teams. So, I mean, yeah.
Well,
I'd like to play for the Spurs, please.
I mean, think about it. LeBron leaves the East here in a couple of years. Let's say LeBron wins his title for Cleveland, which I think
LeBron
is
leaves Cleveland again.
No, he leaves Cleveland because he retires.
He took such a fucking PR hit, and he went back, and now he's like Black Jesus.
No. So he's like Jesus, right?
Well,
so
he unfollowed the Cavaliers on Twitter this season, so there's that. The wheels are in motion.
Well,
he's so passive aggressive. We can talk about that in a second.
Oh yeah,
because we definitely need to talk about that.
If LeBron wanted to do that, he needed to change his bio to Comic Sans. I don't know if you can do that in Twitter, but he needs to be able to make all of his tweets need to be in Comic Sans from now on. But no, I mean, let's say LeBron is somehow miraculously Steph Curry dies or something, and somehow the Cavs are able to capture a title in the next 2 years. I mean, he walks away from the game. Then look at the East. Who's the best? LeBron's gone. Who's the best team in the East? I mean, who is that standout superstar team in the East?
I would say the Raptors should be the best team, just because the Pacers every year I want to say are going to be the best team because they have Paul George, and they just don't do things.
Well, they need another guy or two to get there.
I guess, but man, they just always look on paper like, oh yeah, this is gonna work out, and then it just kind of doesn't. I mean, Paul George hurt himself in the Olympics last year.
Oh yeah,
so I mean, it or the year before, but and so their season was kind of fucked up a little bit. And they just fired their coach, whose name
Frank Vogel, aka Jerry Seinfeld celebrity impersonator.
Yeah, Frank Vogel though I think is a decent coach.
He's gonna get a job. Orlando Magic, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the Magic were a good team until they sent the Pistons Harris, which I don't really like their core now. But I'd say the Pistons, if they got another dude and had development, because they are a young, good team.
But
and they excite me because I love Stan Van Gundy teams, and I know you do too. Man, I don't. There's not really. I mean, Drummond is a star, but he's not a superstar.
He could get there.
He could get there, but man, he just doesn't. When you watch him play, do you ever think, "Oh yeah, he's gonna step on the necks of the next opponent," and like he's athletically gifted more than any other center we've ever had, like more than Ben Wallace, even though Ben Wallace was a beast, but he's not. He just doesn't.
He doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know how to play defense yet. Well, maybe.
And to be fair, he's like
sometimes he
21.
doesn't play defense. Yeah,
he's so young.
He sometimes doesn't feel like playing defense, and when he does feel like playing defense, he's like, where do I go?" Like,
yeah, he looks a little lost, and I'm hoping that he brings it around. And I mean, his offense is not great, but he can dunk like he's basically Howard 2.0 with a better beard.
Well, yeah, on offense and as a rebounder, he's that type of player. But let's
not on defense though. No, Howard is superior defensively for sure. But the first couple years he wasn't that refined though. He was he was still raw, and they just was like, I don't know, go out there and play. And he's like, all right, cool. And that's kind of what Drummond does. Impression. Yeah. He sounds just like this. He's just a little guy inside. And He sounds like Pinocchio. I'm a real boy.
That's why Howard's problem is that's his inner monologue.
Dwight Howard, man.
Oh boy,
well, he had an interview the other day. Let's talk about him real quick.
Very interesting interview on
TNT. Let's talk about him.
I loved it. I wish he would have been more. I wish he would have told Charles to shove it a little bit harder.
I wish he would have had a couple of drinks before they started.
Yeah, he threw so much shade at Harden, man. Like, he's like, yeah, I should probably get the ball like a lot more. Something it's just up to the teammates. You know?
I'm always interested in winning.
James Harden, buddy, you got to listen here, man. Dwight Howard is your guy. He's the only guy you got on that team. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's been the number one topic of sports talk here in Houston over the past few days. And quite frankly, actually, I got to tell you, we were a little encouraged by a couple of things that he said. You touched on it there a second, David. You said, I wish he would have gotten a little harder at Barkley, but I'll tell you the part where he said to Barkley, I use it every day, and I don't have the quote in front of me, but essentially I'm paraphrasing. He said, I use it as motivation every day that Magic Johnson, when I was in the 10th grade, said I was never even going to get drafted by an NBA team, and you sat right here on this show 5 years ago, and said I was garbage and I was never going to be able to take a team deep into the playoffs. That's what motivates me every day. I just said, holy shit, this guy just went off on Barkley. That's great. But then he just stopped. He didn't deliver that death blow to him. He just kind of jabbed him a couple of times and then backed off.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, that was really cool. And it's cool to see Dwight Howard talk because he can be passive aggressive too, or wishy-washy. So to hear him really give a shit, and it's nice to see. You want to see that attitude a little bit more on the court.
Right. I don't want to see Allen Iverson wanting to punch somebody, but I want to see someone who clearly shows me they give a shit. That's the thing in Houston we've all wanted to see out of Dwight, and the people in LA wanted to see. We want to see that you're not just out there playing AAU ball. You actually give a shit about this. That's what we've always wanted to see.
If he had the mentality of David's probably favorite player to talk about, Draymond Green, he would be the unequivocal best center in the NBA and its history. Like, he would be better than Shaq because he was just more physically gifted. And frankly, he's 7 feet tall and he's just muscles. All he has is muscles. He has 7 biceps each. Well, and he's ridiculous, and he's got natural instincts and natural athleticism, and the dude he's pretty good hands for a center. And he just can't shoot, really. He can grab a ball and dunk it. I'm not saying he's he's also got to stick them.
Some better lower back muscles would definitely help too. That's been a big part of it.
He's still when he's on and when he's engaged, he's still a really good defender and a good rebounder, scoring tool. But he is a bit stiff and he's not the same athlete, but he still should be a way above average.
He should be dominant. He shouldn't be just really good. He should dominate other people because physically no one is that. He's the guy. He's the only one that is really like that in the NBA.
He's the only true throwback 5 that we've got right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the only one.
Yeah, oh yeah. Who's besides that you got Clint Capella, who's
Drummond is the closest, I would say.
Well, see, Drummond is the pogo stick that Dwight used to be. Dwight doesn't, you see him jump, after he makes that second jump, it almost looks like you see his back hurts just watching it. You feel it when he lands on the floor. Yeah. As someone who's had back problems, I feel it when I watch him move.
Yeah.
But he still is a great talent, and he's still a good athlete.
Yeah. So yeah, but I don't know. Houston's got some problems there though because I don't think Harden's the guy. I don't think he can ever be the number one. But he's only going to be that from now on because of the money he demands.
To be fair, Harden was the number one on a team that went to the Western Conference Finals and won 56 games last year and had the second best defense in the second half of the season. Now, obviously,
had more good players though, and he wasn't one of the people that was
That had nothing to do with him. That second best defense had nothing to do with him.
Patrick Beverly and Chandler Parsons
I know. Trust me. I know James Harden's problems. I've seen all the vines. I've watched.
I know you know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But
another thing to consider about Dwight that you've got to take in and is definitely going to have an impact on his legacy or whatever he does in the future. When the guy has missed almost 65 games in the past 2 years with injuries. I mean, that
happens with bigs though, man.
It happens.
He's just got to play fewer minutes. Really, what it is, if you can get him to 22 to 25 minutes a game, and keep them fresh and make that be in 5-minute spans, I think you can have Dwight of old on the court for a short period of time.
Well, as opposed to old Dwight, which is what we have right now. We just
which
have
is what
old
you have
man
right now.
Dwight.
Yeah, and it's just because he's so big, man. He's got so much on that frame, and it's bound to happen. But anyway, so yeah, he shaded James Harden a ton, and hopefully they get into a fist fight in training camp because that would be hilarious. Because Harden's beard would fall off.
They're both little girls. They'll just block each other on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, you're probably right. But speaking of shade, LeBron James threw all the shade at one MVP, Stephen Curry.
Ooh.
Even though Stephen Curry got new shoes from Under Armour, LeBron ain't care.
Well, here's another this backhanded compliment thing. Like he says, well,
it was barely a compliment.
Well, okay.
That was a lot of backhand.
Do you want a quote here? Should we give the quote?
Yeah, let's get the straight quote from LeBron James since we can't legally play the sound clip. David, do your best LeBron James doing a David impression.
I bet he does a great me, and I bet I do a good impression of him doing his excellent me. All right, so
This just became a new segment on the show weekly. Do an impersonation of a celebrity doing an impersonation of us.
LeBron James
I feel like
David.
that joke gets real hollow after number 2.
Yeah, all right, so LeBron, upon being asked about Stephen Curry winning the MVP, whether he deserves it, he says, so I think sometimes the word valuable or maybe best player of the year, you can have different results. So here he's saying best of the year versus valuable. He's playing with semantics here.
If you go with most valuable player, the only way that argument makes sense from LeBron is it's got to be like a dollars to production thing, and then it's got to be a guy on a rookie contract.
Right.
It's
like
got to
be Anthony Davis. Exactly. It's
right.
Got to be Anthony
He's your
Davis.
guy then. Anthony Davis is the guy that's most valuable if that's what you're doing with. You get the most value out of him, probably. Right. I can't imagine another guy. So
I got to give you the rest of this quote. So look at Steph's numbers, he said. He averaged 30. He led the league in steals. He was 90, 50, 40, and they won 73 games. So I don't do you have any debate over that really when it comes to that award? But when you talk about most valuable, then you can have a different conversation. So take nothing away from him. He's definitely deserving of that award for sure.
Take nothing away from him while taking everything away from him.
Basically, well, if you look at maybe best stats of the year or team that won the most, sure, he wins that award. But most valuable, that's a different conversation.
Okay,
right.
Let's be real.
And that's coming from a guy with Kevin Love and Kyrie on his team. So what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Okay, let's not mince words. Though LeBron is the best overall.
He's the best player
in the league.
Yes,
but Steph was ridiculous this year. He only what was the other guy? The last person to do it was Durant. The person before that was George Gervin or something.
To do what? To be unanimous MVP?
90, 50, 40.
Oh.
Hey, no, he did. Well, no, 50, 40, 90. Durant's done it. Dirk has done it, and Steve Nash has done it.
Are those the only ones?
I think someone else might have.
It's a really short list, and those guys all won MVP, didn't they?
This is there's a new add-on. He wasn't just 50, 40, 90. He was 50, 45, 90. Over 45 from 3. That's never been done before.
45. Well, he also, he hit 400 threes this year, which has never happened.
Nuts. Well,
some teams didn't hit 400.
No one had ever hit 300 before last year. So
right, and by the way, the game is totally different.
Yeah, of course.
But you've
he's
got to
probably
compare
the best
yourself.
shooter ever. But Ray Allen's right next to him. That release at his prime was still very pure. But Curry is athletes get better as time goes on. No one's putting Gary Payton and Jerry West in the same stadium and expecting Jerry West to do well, let alone putting Jerry West or anyone else in the past up against Steph Curry now. It's just a different game.
And there's also another big part of that, Jake. Gary Payton wouldn't have been allowed in the stadium when Jerry West was playing. So that's a big part of it, too. He had to sit at the back of the stadium, okay? So
Jerry West played with 2 or 3 black guys, probably. He's friends with a guy who knows a black guy.
He's had 4 black people over to his house in his life. Okay,
right, on purpose too. He invited them.
All right, well, hey,
Wow,
just
wow! I
in
love
case-
the Jerry West is a closet racist jokes suddenly. Like
that guy.
Jerry
is
West, probably
he's-
not a racist.
He's an
guys.
executive for the Warriors right now.
I know,
so there's a
I
fun.
know.
But okay, we Jerry West, we like you if you're watching. We're Jerry West heavy in this episode. You notice that?
That's super weird. Yeah, he. All right, next time I promise, Bob Cousy, he's up next. Bob Cousy, super racist, hated Bill Russell, right, guys? Anyways, continue.
Oh, I was curious about talking about him as the best shooter ever.
Yes.
But then we brought up athletes are going to get better over time.
Yeah.
Like more athletic over time. But I mean, is that what's happening when you have a guy that can shoot?
No.
from 30?
I think I don't think he's clearly not the most athletic guy ever. I mean, he's clearly an athlete, but he's not LeBron athlete. I mean,
No.
but it's more of an adaptation to the game or an adaptation to the game because the three is a huge weapon, and we've obviously been seeing I think there was a study that came out in the before 2010 or something. I believe ESPN did a thing where it was starting to get if you have a certain number of wing shooters that shoot this percentage, you have a much higher percentage chance of winning. And it's basically if the number 3 guy on your lineup, the small forward, can't shoot threes, you're not going to win a lot. And that's obvious. I think if you look at any team, if the 3 can't shoot, it's not going well usually unless you have 3 other guys. And now the power forward's getting mixed in there as the game moves on. Draymond didn't. But this guy has mastered the 3-point shot.
No,
and his release.
It's the X gene. It's the next mutation in the game. He shoots.
Yeah.
He's got range to 30 feet. That's absurd.
I know, and it makes me think. I hope they don't change the rules because he's the only one that can do it. I hope they don't change the rules to make it 35 feet.
Here's the problem. Well, if they change the rules because of him, he's the only guy who can shoot from that far.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help the problem.
It's
the only
everyone
way.
Else.
The only way to equalize it, if you're worried about the 3-point shot, is to take it away again, and they're not doing that because it helps the scoring. The only thing you can do is everyone else has to catch up. And that's what I don't want him to change anything. You catch up to Steph Curry. He's not going to be
You defend
forever.
him. Don't change the game.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I can bring, I'm going to bring in some hot Little League basketball takes right here. Boom, we're going right at it.
You're that guy.
I'm that guy.
He's hurting the game.
Well, no, and that's one thing that I've heard from guys. A buddy of mine.
Oh, you're not the guy. You're the opposite of the guy.
I'm not allowed within 500 feet of children. We don't really need to go into that right now. But
wow.
No, buddy
wow.
of mine.
Now
who's
everyone
a
thinks
coach.
Lou touches
mailman.
kids. There's the mailman.
No,
Lou's
but
the mailman.
a buddy of mine
You got it.
who's a little league coach. He says, I will say, one of the things that I hate now is every kid when we go for shoot around, every one of them grabs a ball and they run right to the top of and they just run right to the 3-point line, and that's what they want to do, and they want to be Steph Curry.
I hear that.
That's the first thing they want to do.
When I was a kid, it was Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson. What did I do? I would back someone down and always shoot a fadeaway. You know what I'm saying? Or I'd stick my tongue out and do some sort of crazy fucking layup. Or I'd lay out on the court and just reckless abandon, drive the lane and try to throw some sort of Allen Iverson
I was
crazy
about
layup.
to say you would throw Gary Payton to the ground to then shoot a fadeaway, right? Because that's totally what Jordan did.
Well, it was Brian Russell, but still. Yeah, not Gary Payton.
Not
the
Gary
glove
Payton.
cannot be.
That was 4 years later.
Taken off. It's like an OJ glove. But
that one never went on was the problem, I thought.
Something like that. It's the opposite of an OJ glove. I don't know. Just it's a joke about OJ murdering his wife. But
she's dead.
Yay!
Punchline.
But no, I don't think
Topical.
it hurts the game. I think if you have people emulating Steph Curry, it makes the game come to him and he has to adapt again. You know what I mean? That's how it works. That's usually Michael Jordan was the first guy to really own games by himself as dominantly as he did. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did it before, and Magic Johnson had that capability, and Larry Bird sometimes took the game over, but not like Jordan did. And then the first time he goes against the bad boys, he gets destroyed, and then he works out all season, then dominates everyone forever 2 years after that. And
amen.
Then everyone has to come up to Jordan's level. You know what I'm saying? And now you got so many guys that are probably athletically, probably not as fundamentally, as good as Jordan was athletically at this point.
Here's one thing about Steph Curry's game with being such a perimeter shooter, though. How long is this guy going to be able to play? Is this guy going to be playing into like his
Forever.
late 40s? That's one thing to consider about him because
He's currently 70 years old. Did you know that?
72.
Steph Curry, he's Benjamin Button.
Nutrisystem Button. He looks weird
for him. You know what? You know what people are saying
guy.
now too is that his wife and daughter are too good looking to allow in the stadium.
Dude, truth time. I think his mom is better looking than his wife. Straight up, his mom is hotter than his wife.
Good job. Shout out Del Curry. Nailed it.
Right there. I'd like to.
Both literally and
wait, hold on. Del Curry is his dad.
Yeah, I know. Who's banging his mom, which is why he wins.
And possibly
because
his wife.
His mom is hotter than Steph's wife.
Is Del Curry hotter than Steph Curry is the real question. Because I think the mom thing is settled.
You know what
But I'll tell you, Seth Curry is the Down syndrome Mel Gibson brother of that family, dude. That is an unfortunate looking kid. I mean, not that Steph Curry is this just, Greek god, but Seth, what happened there?
You know what I heard the other day? It might have been yesterday. It was on His and Hers, and Ryan Clark, former safety for the Steelers, you remember him? He took the place of Mike on or Michael on His and Hers, and he made a joke. It was kind of not a joke about how Steph Curry has to continue to do this well because he's light-skinned.
Oh God!
You notice that? So he's saying like maybe he got the benefit of the doubt because he's light-skinned over LeBron. It was weird. Steph Curry was the best player this year, right?
It's not
midway through the season. Midway through this season, I had an argument with you that at that point I thought Westbrook could beat him and probably should because he was more valuable at that point. But then Steph totally destroyed that. Completely.
Russell,
it had nothing to do with the shade of their skin.
Any other season, well, now if we're getting away and getting back to Steph Curry's season a little bit, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, just avoid that racism talk. Just steer clear of that, David.
It was
three white guys are going to talk about racism in America.
I want to be diplomatic. Russell Westbrook, any other season, it would have been a pretty huge deal. The type of season he was having, the production he's having, way he's maturing. It is insane. It's unfair to some of these other guys the way Steph Curry ascended, like as if he was the MVP last year.
You know what it is, though? It's his efficiency. It's because when you look... Okay, and here's the reason people have a problem with Steph's game. It's pretty and finesse and soft. Like, when he goes in for a layup, it's that big scoop shot, and it goes high in the air and drops down. And it's so... Like, you don't expect him to make that, and he makes it anyway. He's shooting threes fast. When Westbrook turns up court... Like I said before, he's a pit bull with a bone that he wants, and the bone is the hoop, and he goes fucking hard, and he will break necks on the way there. He'll cock it back and slam it down and flex all over everyone, and then you'll be like, and then he'll get off the court and he'll be in like the most weird Kanye-style fashion ever, and then Steph's just this guy with a cute kid and shooting threes all day. Like, they're so opposite.
Am I the only
people
one who's getting a little tired of his kid?
I'm tired of the kid too. I'm tired of the kid too. I don't really care.
No,
she's cute, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't even know her name at this point.
Time, okay.
Steph is adorable, and Russell's a badass. Like, he's ridiculous.
Yeah, and
like Russell's a monster out there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Russell's game, that's not going to be conducive to a body to be able to play this. I mean, Steph could realistically.
That's a great point.
We said that about Wade. We said that same thing about Wade, and he got hurt, but he's still doing it.
He did. And he's a genetic
so is Westbrook. Westbrook looks like Dwight Howard shrunk.
But I said conducive. I didn't say that definitively it was going to keep him
I
from
agree with
playing.
you then.
It's not conducive statistically to be able to play like that. Steph Curry plays basketball in the same way that people play golf. You can play golf until you're not. You can play it till you die. He's going to be able to play that game until he can't lace up his shoes.
He'll lose his quickness, and he won't be able to get into the lane quite the same way. But that the way, how does a guy's shot release get drastically
only when you lose your
quicker?
Legs. When you lose your legs,
but
then you can't shoot.
He used to shoot a jump shot. Now it's almost a set shot. Like it looks.
I know, and it's very
like he
efficient.
Flicks his wrist from the waist sometimes.
It's so efficient. It's ridiculous. And I am a connoisseur of shots in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching a good shot. Carmelo Anthony for a long time was one of my favorite smooth mid-range shots. Rip Hamilton kind of poked the ball a little bit. Ray Allen was always that really quick, smooth guy. I mean, for some reason, I really love the way Chauncey Billups nonchalantly shot free throws. Steph Curry's shot is just like there's no wasted motion, and they say that like about pitchers and stuff.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Like all of it means the ball is going in. It's not like his elbow doesn't come out. His knees are always straight. He's always squared up well. Even when he's not squared up well, he ends up squaring up.
Have you guys ever seen a quicker release or a guy that can?
No.
That can, like, you see Anthony Davis in his face, his head over Steph Curry's head.
You can't react to it.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Like, I saw a thing the other day. It was on it is related. It was on baseball player Giancarlo Stanton, and he hit like a 490-foot home run.
Yeah.
And Sports Science did a thing on it, and it showed from his cockback to his swing through to contact was faster by like 200 milliseconds over the average, but 200 milliseconds over the average baseball swing. It's the same thing. Giancarlo Stanton can crush a baseball like no other human on the planet, and Steph Curry can shoot the ball faster than anyone with the most fluid release I've ever seen. And it's like perfect, and the ball looks great. Like if a really good jump shot, I don't know the number, but should have a certain amount of backwards rotations. His has like the perfect amount,
right?
Even though he's shooting it at lightning speeds, which is really hard if you've ever tried. In high school, I used to try to like really get a really good shot, and I was decent for a while, for a high school basketball player that's short and white. But like you aim for the best, and no one else can do that.
No,
people are going to try.
It's like he fires a graceful eagle out of his hands, and everyone else
and
is
it starts
throwing
at the
like
hip
spastic.
almost.
Yeah,
but it's not like a Kevin Martin shot where it actually is from the hip and it kind of comes out of his chest.
Ugh.
He brings it all the way up and it's out, and you don't have time. Like his step back jumper is so effective because by the time he has set his feet, it's already halfway up his body and it's too late.
It's the antithesis to Tim Tebow's windup. It is just so fast.
It's the antithesis to Sean Marion's jump shot.
There you go.
Well, he did have a quick release though, Sean Marion, but it was
it's because he only brought it 3
ugly.
inches above his dick, and for some reason it worked.
That's no. Well, it was okay. Can we rule out the fact that originated? Well, I don't know. This is not a good joke, but it almost looked like he just poked it with his dick right into the hoop.
It did. It always looked like he would kind of I don't know. It wasn't. It was certainly he was hit it and quit it with the basketball. Is pretty much how Sean Marion looks. This is the opposite. Like Steph Curry may be fast, but he is hitting every spot you want to be hit with. Like it's so perfect. And
ladies,
the guy
get you that man that can do both. Okay, that's
exactly.
take nothing away from this.
Yeah, and we should probably move on. But Steph Curry's shot is beautiful, and
Steph Curry's family is beautiful. Yes, we know.
Can we look forward for just a minute or two to Thunder Warriors?
Yeah, I would really like to see. I want to see.
Like the soundtrack to Gladiator just started playing in the background at my house when you said that. Like it's just going to be so epic. It's like
it has nothing to do with
is getting ready for Warriors versus Thunder.
The only matchup I'm excited to see, because I think the Warriors are a better team, is Westbrook versus Curry, because I want to see that Bulldog go up against this just beautiful best in show dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be awesome because they're each gonna score 30 every night, and it just depends. Steph's gonna be crazy efficient, but Westbrook can do more on the stat sheet.
So the American Pit Bull mix with the messed up nose is about to go up against the Border Collie and just fucking throw down at Westminster out in the parking lot. No police, no judges. One of them walks away.
And then the thing is, and Kevin Durant's out there, and suddenly he's not probably...
He's not the most important guy on the floor
He might be
anymore.
the number 3 guy on that court suddenly, which is weird. Because they're usually the best 2, and then everyone else. He might even be 4 if Draymond is really, really on his game.
I mean, he takes a back seat to Adams and Westbrook without a doubt, right?
Sometimes.
Adams.
Well, okay.
What?
Well, it's weird. It's weird to say about a guy that scored 27 points a game this year in Kevin Durant, but it does look that way sometimes. You know, you get that feel like where did Kevin Durant go?
Yeah, I love Kevin Durant's game too, though.
I have to make an observation. Durant kind of was excellent against the Warriors this year. And do you guys know what I mean when you guys know what bad Russell Westbrook looks like, right?
Oh yeah, erratic, and he's inefficient, and he makes bonehead plays on defense.
40
he turns
shots
the fucking ball over.
40
no, he
shots
turns
scores 11.
worse than the offensive inefficiency. He turns the ball over.
When Curry gets hot against the Thunder, bad Westbrook happens sometimes because
I know
he'll get angry. Westbrook angry can be good. But then you see Steph Curry start bombing some threes, and Russell Westbrook, it's like he's like, I'm gonna go down, shoot that same three.
Yeah.
And they want that. They want him to do that. And I just maybe we don't see that, but I could see it happening.
And I think that's part of the Warriors' game plan is have Steph go make a three, have him walk out, point to the sky, and then kind of shimmy, and have he kind of has this swag, which I don't like, but you got to respect anyways, and then just piss everyone off because they don't like you. Because, I mean, you got two light-skinned guys out there in Clay and Steph, and then you got the blackest, and I don't mean skin-wise, I mean, he plays, Draymond is from Saginaw, Michigan, which is where I'm from. That is some of the most, you can get shot playing basketball, and I'm not kidding. And he played out there, and he plays like that in the NBA. He's just ridiculous. And I mean, he played for Izzo, and so you got this bulldog in there suddenly, that's just backing these two pretty boys up, with nice groomed facial hair, and then he's just out there bawling. And then you got all these other role players. Sean Livingston came out of nowhere and is doing good. He's playing well.
The doctors wanted to amputate his leg
I know
8
it's
years
crazy.
ago,
and Andre Iguodala gets a second life. It's crazy, and they feed off of that swag.
Yeah,
and he's so fucking efficient that he always kind of has it. Has he had a bad game this year? Really, when he wasn't hurt.
The worst, hurt. You see him. A bad game for him is shooting 5 for 15 from 3, a measly 33% from 3.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's crazy this year. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that though.
One more weird thing that happened this year. So we saw Steven Adams and the other big guys on the Thunder just roast the dinosaurs on the Spurs on the boards. Now, but the Warriors are a different kind of team. There was a game this year where the Thunder out-rebounded the Warriors by 30, which is I don't know. You
should lose that game.
I don't know if that's ever happened before, but the Warriors, the Warriors won that game.
They shoot really well from the line and from three. So if you can make up your boards there, then you're gonna win, and they do so. And it's horrifying to watch too, because you're trying everything you can, but they just make all the things they shouldn't. You're supposed to give the perimeter shots, and you're supposed to foul when it's a layup, and they make them anyways.
Right.
They go against all the things that you're supposed to play defense for. And Steph Curry, you're not guarding him. You're not checking him at the half court. Now you have to. You also have to check Clay at 35. And you gotta check Draymond at the line, and you gotta make sure Bogut's not down there getting ready to post up, and you gotta make sure Iguodala didn't get over to the corner, and they're just gonna shoot all sorts of threes, and then you gotta crash the boards because they're all coming. So it's just crazy, and their transition game is great too.
Right, and then the lineup of death that they can roll out, where everyone can shoot threes, everyone can guard 4 or 5 positions. Yeah. Everyone, the shortest guy is Steph at 6'3", and the tallest guy is Harrison Barnes at 6'8". And that
Harrison Barnes is he lucky he ended up there?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
and he fits it perfectly.
He does. That whole team is.
Oh, hey.
Honestly, if you with a superstar, this is the most complete superstar team I've ever seen.
How about this? Okay, before we leave this, over under for title wins for this incarnation of the Warriors. I'm putting the over-under at 2.5. 2.5 more. They've already
Over.
got one. You're taking the over on that, right?
I'm taking 3 or 4. Yeah, I'd say with Steph on this team, with at least 2 other players that are currently on the starting lineup. So I think Bogut's going to be there just because he's affordable and he's a decent center, and I think Clay is going to re-sign for cheaper.
And I mean, again,
he probably would get.
Think of how crazy it is that in today's NBA that we just instantly
Draymond's
say
going to be there too.
We just instantly say over when we're asked 2.5. We just say over immediately. David,
I'll go over.
you'll go over. Okay, so you see at least 2 more title wins after this season.
Yeah,
That's incredible
okay.
that we all instantly say that.
Here's the thing: they could win 3 to 5, and like some of those guys are locked in. Like Steph Curry's going to re-sign, and the rest of those guys are with the team, and they'll be able to reload the veterans.
Right, Draymond's got 2 more years on his contract?
No, 3 after this season.
Is it? Wow.
I think so.
Barnes
yeah.
isn't going anywhere.
Barnes doesn't have employment elsewhere.
That's what I'm saying. He's not going anywhere else.
Iguodala wants to stay. I guarantee it. I can't imagine a better situation unless the Spurs load up.
After Iguodala floundered there for so long there at the end of his time with Philly and then there in Denver, I mean he's not going anywhere. He wants to be there.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I think, and we're talking about the Warriors and basically not at all about the Thunder, because I just don't see him winning. I think it'll be a good series. I think Chris Broussard said 7 games. I'd be surprised if it was 6, but I think they'll all be competitive.
Well, here's
the
thing.
Have the Warriors in the past 2 years been taken to a 7-game series? I don't think they have.
I don't think they have either.
I think it was 6 games in the finals last year. It was 5 games in the Western Conference Finals, and then before that they swept, I'm pretty sure, into the Western Conference Finals. I don't think they've gone to a 7-game series.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I don't think they have.
So here's the thing. They should smoke the Thunder, but the Thunder, when they're rolling, they are competitive against the Warriors.
And they can control the ball.
When they're on, the Thunder are right there. But they're just not on as often as the Warriors are. We saw it all season. Underperforming, bad execution, and they're just not as deep. And the Warriors on any given night are likely to be a hell of a lot better.
Right.
But hey, shots fall for the Thunder and shots don't fall for the Warriors, and suddenly we're looking at 7 games.
Right,
so,
but you don't you don't get to 73 on a fluke. I mean, these guys were clearly
well, of course not.
Clearly the absolute most superior team in the league. So
yeah. But also they have the boasting power of having the only human on planet Earth named Festus. So
that's
go
true.
Warriors.
That's a good. Advantage Warriors. I'm sold. It's a sweep. So also we gotta go mustaches versus goatees. We've got the Stash Brothers and the Splash Brothers. Steven Adams and Cantor on the Thunder with their weird mustaches.
I know it's Ennis, but I always want to call him Enos.
I stopped myself because I was gonna say Enos. And
it's so weird.
So, but
man,
yeah,
he's
actually got a bad mustache. He was
Cantor.
Spurs,
Cantor is one of those guys where you look at him and he has a nice mid-range game. He can shoot some threes. He's really good in the post. He's got an arm sleeve, so you take him seriously. And then when he gets on defense, you're just like, holy shit, this is an NBA player.
Oh yeah. Oh no. So he was great against the Spurs.
He was good, but they were 800 years old. He could be great against me.
Because the Thunder could put Ibaka or Steven Adams on LaMarcus, and Enes Kanter could go sit down and have a snack on the defensive end. The Warriors, on the other hand, are going to
no breaks.
They're going to pull his pants down every time down the floor.
They have to go at him. The only guy you can put Cantor on is Bogut, and Bogut's way better.
Oh yeah. And so, it's just it's gonna be rough. Like,
can you imagine Cantor trying to guard Draymond Green?
You can't. Well, the lineup of death, those 5 3-point shooters they run out at the end of games. Enes Kanter cannot be on the floor. It won't work. Like, he can't chase those guys around, and Draymond Green
and they're
going to
be down, so they're going to need his offense. But he's such a liability on defense. Yeah, this is why I don't see it's. And Ibaka just isn't a blocker anymore. He's good, but he's not great anymore. I don't know what happened to him. He got a 3-point shot and decided that defense isn't important.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's still a a really good defender when he's locked in.
Sound
But he is not
defensively.
He is not the superstar that I kind of thought he was going to be, and he's not the transcendent defensive
He had
player
2
that he was
years
supposed
there where
to
you're
be.
like, he had 2 years where
yeah.
you're like, oh shit,
He was like-
Serge Ibaka
he
has
was-
come in.
He was a runner-up to Defensive Player of the Year.
Right. Everyone thought he was going to be like an anchor.
And now he gets some votes for Defensive Player of the Year. Might be
He's
second
good.
team all
He's
defense.
not great.
But yeah, he's not that defensive superstar that we kind of wanted him to be, expected him to be.
And
So,
back on the real topic of the stashes versus the goatees.
Of course.
I gotta say, Steven Adams, when you look at him, he looks like he's straight out of the 1980s and looks like he would be like the roadie for not a good awful hair band like Poison or somebody like that, like a terrible one like Winger or Stripper or one of those awful 80s hair bands. He looks like he would totally be a roadie for.
That's what I heard. Bill Simmons said the other day about Steven Adams that he looks like some kind of movie villain that like you put a spear in his chest and he's like still coming at you like some kind of machine.
I bet he's opposite Aquaman in the Aquaman movie when it comes out.
You know what?
I'd watch that.
He is. I just got it. I just pulled the perfect band out. He would be the merch manager for Warrant.
I was gonna say Cheap Trick, but Warrant is definitely that makes sense.
Now I know we have to give this like edge to the Splash Brothers because they're the Splash Brothers, but those goatees are terrible, right?
Oh,
Like,
they're
it's not
awful.
just
I
me.
hate Klay Thompson's entire face.
I love that he's got a devil goatee. It's really weird, and Curry's got a red goatee, reddish. It's
Curry
weird.
at least decided not to connect them though.
Curry looks like he took a glue stick and he took like glitter and poured it on his face like you do with a paper plate thing whenever you're a kid. It looks like he just drew it onto his face. It doesn't look like
it's
his
super
actual
gross,
hair.
especially now that it's longer than it
He's
used to
trying
be.
He's trying to look not like he's 13, and he kind of looks silly. And of course, he's allowed to because he's the best basketball player on the
No,
planet
dude,
right
if it doesn't grow on the cheeks,
He's the most
you don't get to have
valuable
that.
player. He's the most valuable player. We established he's not the best player. That's LeBron.
Yeah. But still, man, I don't know. No, it's not a good look. Clay is the worst facial hair in the league though. Easy. Right?
He's just the worst.
Like it's not even close.
Like his hair in general is just it. You know what he looks like?
It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know if it's supposed to be like a little bit crinkly or if it's supposed to be like if he straightened it would it still be there. Like it doesn't know what style it is. Is it a crop or is it a fade?
I think he wants to look Greek, and that's the only thing I can think of when I look at his hair.
He wants to look like a Greek B-level
Why is your
porn
hair?
star.
Why is your hair Greek? Like get rid of the Greek.
Like he's
hair.
not like sometimes he has to do gay porn to make ends meet. That's what he looks like.
It looks to me, his hair looks so inelastic. Like it looks like it's either Lego people hair or or he's
It
like
is Lego people hair.
It's either Lego people hair or he's like an early PS2 game like background character who they're just so stiff and animatronic. He looks like he looks like a PS2 background character is what he is.
Does he spray it on and it like hardens into some kind of shell?
Yes,
that's
it's a
another
helmet.
possibility.
It's to protect against concussions.
I think we got it.
Which Danny
it's
Cannell
Lego
does
people
not
hair.
believe in.
His head comes to a peg in the middle, and he just clips his hair on before he goes out there.
Yeah, man, his hairline changes too. Looking at all of his pictures, it's kind of like LeBron's. Maybe he has a LeBron thing going on with his hair.
No, LeBron's doesn't change. It just goes one direction. It's a steady trend. There's no.
No, well, he's starting to paint though. He's starting to paint that hairline a little bit, like Doc Rivers,
Which is so sad. It's so awkward looking.
Just shave it off, man. Let it go.
Embrace, like, come on, you're number 23. Look to Michael Jordan. Embrace the baldness.
Embrace
please.
the bald, please.
But just don't try the Hitler mustache. Don't look too hard at Jordan.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, especially not on an airplane at this point.
Yeah. That being said, this is coming from three guys who all have completely full heads of hair. So.
And beards that we grew out on purpose and didn't try to style. We just we keep them, but we don't like there's no thin chin straps here. I just don't. My mustache doesn't connect. But you guys can't see that, so just pretend I have a nice full beard, like a Russian.
Thank you for including me. Then, you know how you'll see like Mexican women like draw on eyebrows and stuff like that. That's what Klay Thompson's beard looks like. It looks like he drew it on with eyeliner. Is what his beard looks like.
It's not a good look. You know what else isn't a good look? Transition into Gronk on the cover of Madden. And this is for two reasons. Number one, I can't stand the Patriots, even though I respect the shit out of them because they win with nobody every year. And also, it's Gronk, so I always assume he's just a douchebag. But less of a douchebag than J.J. Watt, but like a genuine open douchebag.
It's a safe assumption. Like
Yeah. But obviously, we're speaking about the Madden curse now because people have to be talking about that suddenly.
Well, so I mean, that's it. All right. So mostly, what I'm curious about is how do you want to see the curse manifest itself in Gronk's life? Like, what do you want to see happen to him? Do you want to see him sharing a jail cell with Aaron Hernandez, or do you just want him to break his leg?
It's not how I want it to manifest, but it will manifest in 3 strippers found dead in the backseat of his car. That's how it will manifest.
No. I want him to be found on a party boat, and maybe it's a very public party boat, right? So it's a party boat. It won't be during the season. It'll be after they win another Super Bowl or lose in the final. Who knows? But he's going to be on a party boat. It's going to be in like the Bahamas. And just women everywhere. Some dudes too, probably. Just everywhere. And then all it's just a picture of him that gets leaked to Twitter or maybe Snapchat or Tumblr or something. And it's just him, like 3 or 4 people, you don't even like genderless people that are also naked in his bed, and just a pile of cocaine on his chest, and he's awake and looking at the camera like, "Yep, I'm Gronk."
So now tell us
Johnny Manziel sitting right next to him? Because that's what I'm in.
Johnny Manziel is holding the camera.
Okay.
Actually, Johnny Manziel is running out to get more cocaine for him.
Right, and then the boat, and then the boat sinks. The boat sinks, and 50 years later, we find the gold of Gronk and Manziel with their bodies clutching the chest.
Are those guys? I'd almost like to see those guys have like a Pulp Fiction type scenario where one of them has to stab a syringe into the other's heart when one of them overdoses on cocaine, and that is the Madden curse.
Yes, this is how it's going to happen. It's definitely going to.
You just wrote.
There's no way this ends well.
You just wrote the best Pulp Fiction fan fiction I've ever heard. That's awesome. You know, my thing on this is, and it's kind of a funny territory for me if you'll indulge for a second. You know, David, I think you know, and Jake certainly knows that my primary hobby, to our listeners out there, is video games. Outside of doing this, my main thing is video games.
Also building PCs obsessively.
Building PCs to play video games on. But I kind of got out of Madden about 5 or 6 years ago.
It was a good time because it was garbage 5 or 6 years ago.
Well, I got out of about 5 or 6 years ago, and really the reason for me is, and this leads into why I actually like Gronk being on the cover. For me, when I was playing in intermediate, high school, college, for all those years, I was playing against my buddies, and my buddies were total bros. And when you look at Gronk, he's the broiest bro that ever broed in the history of brodom. He is the definition of the word.
Oh, so he's that asshole who only plays Madden as a video game.
Madden, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, and Guitar Hero. That is his game, like all day long.
They pre-order Call of Duty so they can get the achievements early and level up before you, and like.
But my point is,
and they show their gamer score to people outside of like other conversations.
Yeah, he's the broiest guy ever. So to me, he absolutely makes sense being on the front cover of Madden. You know,
it's totally true.
You know, for me though, I mean, Madden, I just kind of got away from it after college because, you know, when you went from being with your buddies who you were with all the time and you were always with, to now, oh hey, I heard you and Jessica had a baby. Oh yeah, we did. 3 years ago. Yeah, we did that. When you go from seeing these people every day that you were playing this game with to, you know, they become like a thing on Facebook or they just become like an identity on the internet, it kind of lost it for me, you know? So I haven't played Madden in so long, so I don't know if the current model of the game is good.
I played it last year, and I enjoy it because like the franchise mode is pretty deep, and it's got like RPG. I always say RPG elements. People say that all the time. There's a leveling system that actually makes prospects work now, instead of just like you have them and now they're really amazing, or they suck balls. But man, does it get easy too fast? It doesn't balance well. I remember the last really great NFL video game was NFL 2K5.
The ESPN game.
Terrell Owens on on the Eagles on the cover, and that was the last great one. And also had first-person football, which was neat.
Well, it had first-person football, but it also had that struggle mode. What I loved, if you were the running back and you got hit in the hole, you could tap 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 to try and break out of your tackle.
They didn't surpass that, by the way, the gameplay until like 2 years ago.
Well, yeah.
So that's saying a lot.
Well, that's the biggest thing, and this is a whole goddamn. We could have a fucking show on this.
No, we don't have to have a show about this right now. But
Madden having the exclusive NFL license, which has been ridiculous. But
it's almost over.
But, well, it is now. Now, here's one thing that I wanted to throw at you guys that I don't know if y'all know about.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. He wanted to say one thing real quick. David did.
Oh, before we get too far away from the Madden cover curse, I'm very worried. John Madden has been on 10 covers, which means, and we have not seen the curse happen to him yet, which means there has been a building cumulative shit cloud hanging over him, waiting to burst open. What is going to happen to John Madden after being on the cover 10 times?
What's going to happen to him? Have you heard
John
his
Madden on
career?
Thanksgiving? John Madden on Thanksgiving is going to invite Brett Favre over to his house. Brett Favre will accept the invitation, bring his whole family that they will touch, and at that moment they will turn into a turducken and then be served to the winner of the Detroit Lions Thanksgiving game.
That's what I thought. Maybe the curse would happen to John Madden, where he'd accidentally be baked into some sort of he'd become a turducken type thing. He would accidentally be mistaken for a turducken.
No, he'll be baked. Him and Favre. It'll be a Favre Madden.
Favre is in Madden, right?
It'll be a Favre Madden.
Madden, Favre, turkey, duck, chicken, and that is the babushka order, right?
So it's a
the
Favre Madden turducken.
Yeah.
See,
Favre Madden turducken sounds like a German villain.
I would disagree with you guys in that something bad's going to happen to John Madden. I would say that his commentary career was the bad thing that happened.
No, that was bad to us, though. He benefited from that for years.
He made $1 billion off of a video game because of his commentary.
That he's never... I would love to play Madden with John Madden. That would be great.
Oh. That is a bucket list thing that we will never accomplish. Unless John Madden, you're listening to this and you want to come on.
Now,
wouldn't that be weird if he was one of our very few amount of listeners because we just started this?
I guarantee you he is subscribers 4 through 5. I bet you he is. He got 2 accounts to subscribe to us. Now, I did want to say this before we move on to anything else, and this might be a surprise, this might not be. Don't know if you guys know, but coming next month into the New England area, Gronk is going to have his very own brand of Monster energy drink. It's called Gronkasaurus, and if you haven't seen, there is a commercial promoting it that's coming on Massachusetts TV right now, where he does the most... what's the right word to use? He does the most delirious, disjointed Ultimate Warrior promo of all time, which, if you know anything about pro wrestling, that's an overstatement. He does an impersonation of the Ultimate Warrior doing an 80s style wrestling promo, talking about how good his energy drink will beat you over the head.
Macho Man Randy Savage?
Are you guys fucking with me? Because this is too it's too obvious.
It's perfect
that Gronk
for him.
Would be a
No, it's too obvious.
Well, it sounds like
we thought about this already, but no one had the balls to pull it off.
Now, Jake,
this is the Gronk thing.
Now, we want to get your opinion on what you think the flavor will be. I'm thinking whey protein and roofies is going to be the flavor for this thing. What do you think, David? What flavor will they be bold enough to go with for Gronkasaurus?
Half Jaeger bomb, half maybe some creatine.
Creatine.
It's just gonna.
I mean, I don't know.
It's just gonna taste like HGH, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And what's great is on the pictures, I guess the way the can is posted, his dong is right where the center of the M is on the monster. So you just look up from the S right there, and boom, there's some Gronk dong.
So again, hold on. Again, you guys are fucking with me, right? We need to walk back to the beginning.
No,
Gronk actually has an energy.
No, it's not. It's not.
This is for real.
It sounds so ridiculous. This is for real.
Gronkasaurus energy drink.
is happening.
I mean, nothing.
Here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen right now. This is great radio. I am going to screen share with you the picture that happens right now. And I just want you to describe to the human race what you're seeing right now.
Go ahead, David.
Because this is going to be your moment. This right here is a screenshot.
It's the Gronkasaurus
of the Gronkasaurus. This is the Ultimate Warrior thing.
He's doing an Ultimate
No,
Warrior
not
deal.
you.
Yeah.
Not you. I want David to do it because he was the non-believer.
It looks like a toy commercial from the late 90s. Like, everything is overly extreme.
Yeah, it looks like a Transformers, probably.
Yeah. Gronkasaurus. Why is he...
He's shirtless? Because it's Gronk.
He looks like an action figure.
He is an action figure.
He has... So, yeah. Where are his nipples?
Those, they've blended into the rest of his frame.
They airbrushed out his nipples, or he is actually made of plastic. I don't understand. Like,
yeah, but he has the Ultimate Warrior tassel armbands, which is good.
Yeah,
which means he's dressed like a little girl's bike with streamers on it.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he has wristbands, but he also has these like animal print yellow pants, which are good.
Those are, and to tell you the truth, guys, for our wrestling audience out there, I would say he's kind of a mishmash between Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, and those pants just scream Rick Rude to me. Those are ravishing Rick Rude pants all day long.
I wish that was the Madden cover. That's the Madden cover. If Madden wants to sell video games, that's the cover.
Yeah, that's exactly what has to happen. So, yeah. Gronkasaurus. You know who throws the ball to Gronk? Tom Brady.
Whoa!
I'm so good. Wow. I need a Pulitzer or whatever they give for podcasts. Because Tom Brady is his quarterback, and Tom Brady has a new diet, not a new diet. It's a diet he's had, but now we know about it. So David, you're the one that wanted to tell me this story, and we'll close the show with this. What the fuck is Tom Brady's diet, and why do I care?
Well, he's just put out a book about it. You can get it for $200 once.
Wait, $200 for a cookbook?
No, hold on.
Does Tom Brady deliver it to your house? Like, how does that work?
Right, I want Giselle. Let's be real. I want Giselle.
Tom Brady has made it very clear. He has said repeatedly in interviews that this is not a cookbook. It is a nutrition manual.
That's not different. That's not different.
Well,
That's
you
the same
try
thing.
telling Tom Brady that. So
well, I would, but I can't get in the same. I don't hang with his crowd.
Now, I've been trying to find more information about the recipes contained in this non-cookbook, and the one that comes up in every single interview is avocado ice cream, and that's about it.
Don't you? Okay, I'm not a huge dairy fan. I'm not big into ice cream. I don't eat a lot of it. But don't you put pitted fruits in my ice cream unless it's a peach. You don't put a fucking avocado inside my ice. I don't need it to be that creamy.
Well, that's what
you could get away with a plum. You could get away with a plum flavored ice cream.
Even that's
you could get away.
It.
You could get away with it, but
you got to do it right.
But that's like saying, "Oh, I could kill this homeless person and get away with it." It's not a good thing. You're still killing a person. That's what this is. Avocado is like the Casey Anthony of desserts.
So, well, that's the crown jewel of his cookbook. That's for $200. For $200, you too can have avocado ice cream. But more importantly,
avocados kill their children, and they lie about it for 3 years.
All right.
Okay, hold on. But think about it. If you're Casey Anthony, right? You're Casey Anthony, and every night you go to bed and you think to yourself,
I'm a fruit.
I killed that kid. Got away with it. Oh my gosh. Oh.
I'm an appetizer, but they hate me for dessert. I don't know how I got away with it, but I did.
Yeah.
Now, relevant to this story, and that's coming up in these interviews, is Tom Brady's beliefs about how we talk about food and how America consumes food. Now, here's a direct quote.
Hold on. One thing right before you get into that. Okay, this isn't like LeBron where he's just cut and ripped. I mean, this isn't like any sort of he's not an uber athlete. He's a dad bod.
Jake,
why is he giving us?
I have something for you. Oh my God!
Why is he giving us advice about this? Tom Brady, we've seen you with your shirt off. It's not great. Sure, you're a professional athlete, but you're a quarterback. You're one step away from being a punter
That being
Like-
said, I mean, I would have sex with 9 out of 10 Tom Brady haircuts. I mean,
Yeah,
easy.
definitely. Not the. I don't like the long one. The year he got injured, I don't like that.
I don't like the
but
long, scraggly one, but I do like the long, like, side-shaved one where he, like...
Did you see that
combed
weird
it back.
mattress commercial that he was in? His hair was on fleek in that. But yeah. Man, he has weird
Now,
endorsements.
Tom
He has
Brady
the weirdest
actually-
set of endorsements
well,
ever. Anyways,
Tom Brady. So I have to jump back because you talked about his dad bod. Tom Brady actually said what he's going for with his diet is you don't want that hard, stretchy muscle. You want soft, supple muscle. Is
Oh,
what he's
yeah,
going
because
for.
the
you
girls
want
at the
soft,
sorority-
supple muscles?
He didn't use the word supple. I cannot find the quote.
Yeah.
But he made it very clear he does not want that hard bod.
Yeah,
he
because
wants the soft bod.
Because
That's
the
what he's
girls in
going
the
for.
sorority movie are going after Seth Rogen and not Zac Efron. Yeah, fuck you, Tom Brady, okay?
Okay, no. Hold on, though. It's not like there's only down from Giselle, right? Like, at this point, like, he won. He beat us all.
Hey,
he wins.
look, you know
he
my
can have
opinion.
whatever body he wants, but I don't know why he's telling us how to like avocado ice cream. And I'm hearing a lot of no tomatoes talk. What is that about?
No, there's more than that. Let's see. So no vegetables that are not anti-inflammatory.
That's ridiculous.
Now here's the list. No tomatoes. Well, actually, here we go. Tomatoes maybe once a month.
Once
as
a month,
like-
tomatoes.
as like a treat. He gets a treat.
Tomatoes are a treat.
But here's the other things that
Okay.
he will not allow Tom Brady to have. No tomatoes, peppers, mushrooms, or eggplants. What else?
Of course.
No coffee, no caffeine, no fungus, no dairy. Now, here's a quote. The kids eat fruit. Tom, not so much. He will eat bananas in a smoothie, but otherwise he prefers not to eat fruits. Tom Brady prefers not to eat fruits. Not fruit. Fruits. Like
I love that it was phrased that way. I like to think that maybe Tom Brady wrote that so that he would remember, like his nutritionist, and be like, Tom Brady does not prefer to eat fruits, says Tom Brady.
Does Tom Brady refer to himself in the third person like The Rock?
Tom Brady refers to himself as fruits, probably.
he talks about Tom Brady like it's an expensive dog. He's a rich person with a fancy dog that's only allowed to eat certain things and has his own chef.
Does he feed him like tiny meat pates in a bowl on the floor?
No, almost no meat allowed. Sorry, Tom Brady.
Wait, what
no
the
meat
fuck
for
does
you.
this
Maybe
guy
once a
eat?
month. Is
Okay,
a treat.
wait, hold on.
What
What's
does
he
he
eating
eat?
then? So he doesn't eat vegetables or fruits?
No. He does. Well, quinoa.
Quinoa? Quinoa is sort of a rice. It's a starchy
It's
rice.
a grain, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
So,
a grain,
no,
sort of
they-
like rice.
They eat. Let's see, raw vegan version of fruit roll-ups.
Why? Just eat fruit.
Okay, they eat 90. Yeah, that's the only form of fruit.
When you say
I'm
they,
assuming-
does this mean his children also?
His children get some things that Tom does not
Because
get.
this
for
is
example,
borderline
fruits.
child abuse. If you're saying
Now,
the words vegan
their-
fruit roll up, that
Their
is
diet-
borderline child abuse.
Particularly the parents. It's 80% of what they eat is vegetables. If it's not organic, I don't use it.
Organic is such a bullshit term.
Yeah. So the other 20% is lean meats, grass-fed organic steak, duck, and chicken. As for fish,
Duck?
wild salmon.
Duck's fatty
Duck
as
is
can
one of
be.
the richest, fattiest meats you
Hey,
can get.
Don't talk to me. Take it up with Tom and his cookbook.
It's a nutrition guide, you son of a bitch.
Which,
And,
okay,
and by the way, this diet is why he can find Wes Welker or a tight end his whole career. This is
so-
why. No tomatoes lets you throw a ball more accurately to a tiny white man.
Which, let me say something on that real quick. With him having this kind of diet, Tom Brady either hates himself or his children or something, because there's just no way you would eat like this. This is awful.
oh, you guys, this gets better and better. Tom Brady is not allowed to use regular salt. He uses Himalayan pink salt.
Actually, my
Oh, he's one of those. Tom Brady has been talked into the most woo-woo fucking diet I've ever heard.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so his chef will not allow olive oil, only coconut oil. Fats like canola oil turn into trans fats.
I bet last year all he ate was pomegranates too. You know what I'm saying? It's got antioxidants, and the year before that, it was all about omega fatty acids.
Yeah, well, if you just eat sugar and carbs, your body is acidic, and that causes disease. Like that's
acidity.
Acidity
Does he also
causes-
Does he also provide trepanning services for Tom Brady when he gets a headache, or does he bleed him when he runs a fever?
That's why Tom always has
Giselle gives birth at home in a swimming pool to all of their children. They don't.
I don't know
go to
if
the
you've
hospital.
ever. When Tom Brady is not on the football field, he perpetually has a dopey, lobotomized look on his beautiful face. Look at that guy's face.
Maybe
he looks like a special child.
Jesus Christ. Okay, this is a guy, by the way, that went to Michigan. How did he survive in the state of Michigan? There's none of that there. I lived there. All they have is here's some stew or some chili. I don't know. We're basically less bad Cleveland.
He spent 90% of his time avoiding tomatoes. That was his life growing up.
Let me ask
oh my
you guys,
god, there's tomatoes everywhere.
Hey, okay, so nothing, no GMOs, no, I don't eat regular salt, only Himalayan pink salt, all this kind of shit. How far away is this from vaccines cause autism? How far away?
Oh, he's probably already there.
He's
probably
already there.
Giselle probably already steams her vagina.
And still breastfeeds the 9-year-old.
Oh yeah.
How far away is this from 9/11 truther crazy shit?
It's not. He is 1 degree away from Russell Wilson's concussion water, which is 1 degree away from Pete Carroll's truther bullshit. So there's the connection right there. Tom Brady is a truther.
Wait, how far is Kevin Bacon though? If we're doing degrees of separation,
he's the
Kevin,
chef. He's the chef.
Kevin Bacon.
No.
Oh, well,
his name is Bacon.
He can't be. Bacon causes acidity, and acidity causes disease. Kevin Bacon causes disease.
Truth
It's
time.
6 degrees away from AIDS.
You are describing half of the women that I work with right now. I would think you were talking
half of the women you work with are Kevin Bacon.
The diet and the idiocy of what you're describing is half the people that I work with. And
man.
One
we should get
Tom
Danny
Brady
Cannell
quote.
on the show so we have one person in support of Tom Brady.
No, dude, Danny Cannell reads this shit and he says, "What's wrong with this guy?" Oh, I do believe in CTE now.
There's not so much going on upstairs besides football. Everything else is
oh God.
See,
just fluffy clouds.
You think that?
in his head.
My guy for that is Eli Manning. Eli Manning to me looks like he would.
Oh no, it's Phillip Rivers.
Eli Manning looks like he would be asked a question hey, what do you think about going up against the Panthers scheme this week? With Josh Norman not there anymore. What do you think they're going to do? I like mustard on my tater tots, but I like ketchup on my French fries. You would think he'd just throw something out.
And then someone explains to him that tater tots and French fries are basically the same thing, and he's like, "No, tater tots are little and rounder, and then French fries are usually longer and skinnier."
Tater tots has a T in it.
It's amplified. It's amplified by an NFL football helmet, making it look like he's 12 years old. And his scrawny little spaghetti legs, and sometimes he just collapses when he tries to run.
See,
the guy's
are
a
NFL
dopey-looking
quarterbacks
guy.
so fortunate that they have to be hidden under pads and helmets and shit, man?
And Jake, you're so wrong about Phillip Rivers because Phillip Rivers,
he's like a quiverful guy.
Well, right, but while Rivers would be asked the same question, he'd be like, "Would you shut the fuck up with your question? Just give me another cheeseburger." He knows he's stupid,
That's
and
fair.
he embraces it.
That's fair. Yeah, man. I don't know.
He aggressively embraces his stupidity.
All right, let's finish this conversation because we're almost at time.
My
here.
last Tom Brady quote, being asked about American eating habits, he said, "America has a food pyramid, and I'm against that." And that was end of quote.
That's it.
That's
Wait, he didn't say what part of it. He was
basically, I'm assuming there's a chance he was talking about the content of the pyramid of what's advised, which maybe there is some problems with our food pyramid
Well, the
system,
food pyramid isn't even what people use anymore because it's
more likely. Well, that's what he's railing against. More likely, he's against pyramids, maybe made of food, in a supermarket,
pyramids in general. He just doesn't like triangular prisms.
Look, I want my food to come in a mausoleum, okay? I don't really want all these booby traps in the pyramid.
Well, if you recall, Ben Carson thought that pyramids were used to store food.
Oh!
Maybe Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady's a Trump supporter. So
Where in Tom Brady is anti-pyramid, which means maybe he's pro-ziggurat. Which, if you don't know, that's a step pyramid, and it also that's where they kept food. So maybe that's what Tom Brady is advocating for, a food ziggurat.
I'm against that. Is he maybe? He's just against it. It doesn't matter what it is. He's against it.
I do not like any containment of food whatsoever.
Any cross section between food and pyramid imaginable.
When I don't eat an apple, I make sure it's peeled.
When Tom Brady goes to the grocery store and he sees the display of how they've like put all the 12 packs of Coca-Cola into a pyramid, like shaped like a Christmas tree, how they'll always use the green ones, he just walks up and just rams his cart into it, like, you fucker.
Oh,
put that shit down.
Unless if it's tomatoes though, he has to call his nutritionist for comfort.
Oh, to move it
because he got too close to one.
Trigger warning. There are tomatoes here.
You know what I like about this show so far? 2 out of 2 shows end ridiculously. So let's keep that going next time. But that's it, I think. I think that's it for this episode of Riding the Pine, featuring Jake Liu and David. And god damn if we didn't entertain you.
Yeah,
guys, do you have any closing statements you'd like? Pretend this is a debate,
I
guess. And what are you looking forward to in the coming months as sports unfold? What's the next big thing you want to talk about? What are we looking at in episode 3, guys? Even if David's not here or Lou's not here, what kind of thing you looking forward to?
Well, if I'm not here, you're looking forward to tanking in the ratings. I mean, obviously.
Okay. The ratings, as if we are a member of those.
Well, look, I talk to Nielsen all the time.
I'm sure you do. David, you got anything on your mind coming up here?
Who's more racist, Jerry West or Bob Cousy? Or Jake with his obsession over light-skinned black people versus...
That wasn't mine. No, that was Ryan Clark, former Steelers safety.
You brought it up
and
like
I was
10
quoting
times.
him. No, because it took me. It was like, why are you talking about this? I didn't even it didn't even register to me that people thought Steph Curry wasn't black enough until he opened his mouth about it, and I was like, he might not be black enough, I guess. Like, I don't know about it.
Okay, so I will concede that Jerry West is more racist than you.
Oh, see,
so that's
you ruined the cliffhanger of the Cousy West racism beef that we were going to.
No, that's Jerry West is more racist than you, but we don't know if he's more racist than Cousy. That's
next time.
Also, episode 4 is the Bob Sura episode, so I look forward to that.
Look forward to the Bob Sura episode. Riding the pine.
You know, as far as immediately. Aside from the NBA playoffs, wrapping up finally, goddamn, they're like fucking 9 months long. Aside from the NBA playoffs wrapping up, we really move into that dead period where baseball hasn't hit the All-Star break or the trade deadline. The NFL is, ETAs, and I guess we're just going to talk about Gronkasaurus energy drink for the next 7 weeks, guys. I guess that's...
I'm looking forward to that. And, also, part of the...
We picked the worst time to start a sports show, by the way.
Part of the idea of this sports show, though, is to also maybe call some professional sports games, as you do with a guy and a color analyst, but in a different way. Clearly, we're not the most conventional of shows, so maybe look forward to that. I don't know if we're going to work into that immediately, but if you guys are interested in baseball and we start getting a little bit bigger following, and maybe you guys want to come along. We might be doing that from time to time, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. So,
I'm interested. When we gotta fill some time, we'll be covering some more tertiary sports. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Curling is up on my list.
Alligator wrestling, log throwing, esports.
Yes, I would also. Do they still do those lumberjack games on like ESPN 8?
Yes, they do.
See, so I mean, we got a lot to talk about, guys.
And Gregor Clegane from Game of Thrones. We got to watch whatever he's doing, throwing a Volkswagen Beetle 100 yards or something.
And for everyone out there who may have heard that Kurt Schilling is going to be doing this thing where you can pay. I don't know how much it costs. You can pay him, and he will basically Skype with you, and he'll watch a baseball game with you.
Wait a second, how much does that cost? Because that could be a Patreon goal.
Whatever
if we
it
decide
costs,
to ever have one of those.
Whatever it costs. I will go ahead and tell our future potential Patreon donators right now, whatever it costs for Kurt Schilling to do it, we will deliver you twice the racism at half the price. I guarantee it.
Lou, I have a semi right now just thinking about it.
I'm actually a little
Kurt-
disappointed. It's only a semi. I'm full mast. So
I'm
you know
I'm
I
getting there.
idle at half, so I'm just kind of still there.
that's
So,
so
That's
semi
Kurt
is
Schilling can
baseline
get his
for you.
own episode whether he's on the cast or not.
Well,
right?
and that's the
Yeah,
thing. We'd
yeah.
like to get Kurt Schilling on the show, but if you have your mental faculties, he blocks you on Twitter automatically. So there's no way we
So
can ever
look
get in
for-
touch with him.
So basically, the rundown here is look forward to the Is Jerry West more racist than Bob Cousy, or is it the other way around? Kurt Schilling, is he racist? Jake, is he racist? Lou, is he racist? And also, is race a thing as we move forward in writing the pie? Hey, for Lou and for David and for myself, this is the end. This is how we peter out, just like this. So you should just click away.
with the whimper.
And then-
Whimper.
That that was pathetic.
I don't know how to transition out of
Someone end it.
shows.
Jake, give us an outro, please, God.
Give us an out. Have a good day, guys. It's kind of like when you run into a old high school buddy and you don't really like, yeah, you too, man, and you forgot their name the whole time. This is that. So
Bye. That's it.
I'm going solo.